I've got the power.
All right, what up? What up, everybody? We are live. We are back in action, attacking your speakers from the field to the bleachers. This is the Power 32 podcast, and joining me today is a friend of the show and fellow 49ers fan. This is my bro now right here, Mr. Kenny Culp. What's up, bro? Thanks for joining me.
How you doing, Jason? Thank you so much for having me on here, man. Really appreciate it. Let me tell them I've been hanging around your channel, sniffing around.
Yeah.
Like smell the food in the house. I'm like going around looking in the windows. And so finally you asked me on. It was like a little fight club. I had to wait outside the door for a few days. You ignored me. But I'm happy to be on. I'm so happy to be on. I love the show, and your guests are awesome. So thank you so much.
No, hey, listen, man, the reason why is because you show your knowledge through your comments, and like you were just there and you're on point, and I loved it. I'm like, you know what, I got to talk to this guy. It's been, a few, months or whatever it's been. You've been coming on the show and been making great points, and I love it. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And then I'm like, yeah, got to call him, got to see what's up, got to chat. I'm like, you know what, come on the show. You were more than happy to do it. And I just appreciate it so much because I know I'm going to get knowledge from you myself today, and I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, let's hope. Yeah, let's see if we can give each other a little bit. Let the universal cosmotic thing going on over here. Let it happen.
Maybe we'll cause a chemical reaction in here together.
There we go. That's right. What happens like particles? What happens here happens there at the same time. Let's make it happen. And we're going to make it happen right now on this show. We're going to have a lot of fun. If you were with us last week, we did over-unders for each team. This week, yeah, we're going to go through each team. We're going to do more of a division breakdown. And when we get to the end, like I said, Kenny is a fellow 49ers fan, and he knows his stuff. So we're going to talk 49ers at the end of it as we make our predictions and go along and talk about it. I know a lot of you guys, because it's Saturday afternoon, you'll be catching it more on the podcast later on. But, if you're here, jump in, have a good time, because we're about to have a really good freaking time right now. Kenny and I don't like to waste time. So, let's do it, man. You ready to jump into this thing?
Yeah, let's see what we can do.
All right, let's rock and roll. I mean, we always seem to start in the AFC East, and there's a lot of action there. And looking at the Bills, first of all, they had to make up for Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. I'm not saying they did with Chase Claypool and MVS and Curtis Samuel. So I think they definitely downgraded there, where Josh Allen and James Cook are going to have to be more, of the dynamic duo, let's say, of the entire team. Because not to mention on defense, they took quite a blow also, Kenny. Leonard Floyd, we got him for the Niners, so we're happy about that. Tre'Davious White goes to the Rams, which we're not happy about because he's a good player and they're an adversary. And then Jordan Poyer goes to Miami. So as far as personnel goes, they did not improve.
I can't say that they improved very much. Losing Floyd is huge. That was a big part of their defense. That guy's good for, about 10 sacks every year?
Sure.
I don't know what they're going to do, to be honest with you. Josh Allen already has, his issues where even with the players he used to have, which were better, he's trying to do too much, trying to make up for, everybody else, which I don't know. How do you think he feels about that team? Do you think he blames his team? Do you think he blames himself about the last few years?
I think he's got a pretty big ego. I don't think that he blames himself for anything. I just think that he's got an ego like that. And sometimes when you're a quarterback, you have to have that and be kind of that confident, cocky sort of guy. And I'm not saying that Josh is like a jerk or anything like that, but he's kind of can portray that in a way. So, how is he going to do? Is he going to be able to uplift like their dynamic duo tight end with Dalton, Knox, and also Dalton Kincaid, excuse me. So you got both of them there, Shakir, and you're hoping to run the team more around James Cook. So you would hope that Josh Allen would realize this and, lean more on that, the shorter passing game, and not turn the ball over so much, because that's what did him in last year.
You think maybe punt instead of throwing an interception sometimes?
Yeah, how about that, right? That's not such a bad idea. I mean,
And
he's
here's
got
another-
he's got an arm where he can punt it basically himself if he wanted to on fourth down, just throw it 70 yards and the interception at the 2-yard line. Not bad.
Yeah, if the cornerback isn't smart enough to knock it down.
Yeah, exactly right. But they all want that pick so
They all
bad.
want
They don't
that.
care
Yeah.
about
They want that highlight. They want to run it back because they all want to
Yep.
be a back.
Yep. Because they all got that stuff like within that contract that they get like 6 picks this year, or if they get a touchdown this year, then they get a bonus or whatever. So yeah, you're damn right they're going after that thing. And it's the players I respect the most for not doing it.
Losing Mike Morse, I think, is a big deal.
Sure.
The center leaves. What is he? He's like 32 years old. He's been there the whole time. I think he's been his center for at least the last 3 years, or maybe the entire time he's been there. That's got to be different, right? I mean, I guess he's becoming best friends with the new center because, I mean, I feel like if you lose your center in the NFL, I feel like that's not talked about enough. I feel like you guys have a real bond there, a real connection. And how do you switch centers like that? That's what's funny because I don't want to talk about the Niners all night, but Brendel is our center, right?
Right.
And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he's worked with Brock the entire time he's been here. I think that might be one of the main reasons Brendel still sticks around. And if he's improving every year, it's okay. But not to jump on different teams or whatever. But talking about the Bills, new rookie wide receiver Keon Cole, right? Or is it Keon Coleman? Is his last name?
Coleman, I think. Yeah, Coleman.
I've seen this guy on shorts and stuff. He looks like a character. He's the kind of guy who I feel like the locker room will really like. And he will bring like this Debo energy to I'm sorry I keep bringing up the Niners, but this like fun, like.
Don't ever be sorry for bringing up the Niners. Don't ever be sorry for that.
Good. But yeah, I feel like he's like a little bit of I'm not saying he's like Debo, but he's like a little bit of a character. I feel like he's a fun guy to have in the locker room. And like, I think he's going to bring people's spirits up. I think he's going to make some incredible catches and make people's eyes open up there too. And he's going to maybe make people feel a little hungry. And they're like, okay, we're not the same team, but we still got our quarterback. We have an incredible wide receiver pumping in here. There's a lot of energy. Bills Mafia loves their team. They're going to support them no matter what. There's a lot of good going for the Bills. The one thing I'd say that's bad for the Bills is the Miami Dolphins and the Jets. That's what I'd say is the worst thing going for the Bills. If you want,
I happen to agree.
Yeah.
I happen to agree. We're about to talk to that. I'll close it out with this. Like you said, the center quarterback relationship is huge. If you think like Peyton Manning and Jeff Saturday had that for such a long time, it is so important, such a big dynamic, and it's really an intimate relationship if you think about it. The quarterback is literally stand up the son's ass in order
literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
I mean, you're letting the man real close.
Yes, very, very close. I mean, they have dinners and everything together. It's who's paying tonight.
They really do. Yeah, they really do. It's a close relationship. That has to be something you can't mess up. That's the first part of the whole play. You got to get that ball without it hitting the floor, and we've seen it hit the floor on our team. We've seen the ball not make it to the quarterback, and it's ridiculous. You can't have that happen in a game. That's the difference between winning and losing. Sometimes that's it.
Absolutely, it could be especially when
you mentioned Saturday. Quick, you mentioned Jeff Saturday, but here you made a great point. Like Jeff Saturday, most people know who that is because he was such a good offensive lineman. He protected an incredible quarterback, and they won together.
Right.
He got a good offensive line.
Right.
To see how do the Bills look this year?
Yeah, that's a great point because not many people focus on the offensive line, which is a shame because that's where the game is started. That's where the game is won and lost. The offensive, defensive line, the line of scrimmage. And again, more to the point, Jalen Hurts, let's see how he deals without Jason Kelce this year. That's going to be a brand new thing,
The tush push will suffer from that.
Absolutely.
So.
It's a whole new dynamic. There's no doubt about it. And this division is very juicy. There's no question. And I want to talk more about it. Let's talk about those Dolphins. I'm down here in South Florida. This is where I live now.
Excellent. I didn't know that. I thought you were still up north.
No. Yeah, I've been here for 10 years, man. I've been here for 10 years.
I guess you love it, though. I bet you love the weather.
Bro, I can't take the winter. It sucks. If the winter was like 2 months long, I'm in. No problem. But it's
that's one of the reasons I also left. So
right. There you go. Yeah, you're in a pretty nice spot right now. You're close to our home.
Very nice, sort of like Carolinas without the storms is what it's like here. It's very nice.
Not bad. You just got to avoid the earthquakes. Hopefully, that'll be
so far so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the big one will reach us, but so far so good.
Well, we get hurricanes here, so there's going to be.
Oh wow, okay, that's right. That's right. I should have known that. Miami Hurricane.
Yep, exactly. There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Not really looking forward to that, but Speaking of Miami, the Dolphins over here, who do they bring in? OBJ. Okay. I mean, it's what his 15th team in the last 4 years already, so it's like a joke. Jonnu Smith comes in. Calais Campbell is like, I mean, 59 years old. He's still going at it. But also Marcus May and Jordan Poyer, as I mentioned before, from the Bills. So, they get a few players there to fill in some holes because Justin Houston is gone. Melvin Ingram is gone. Andrew Van Ginkel went to Minnesota. He's a really talented, underrated player with his flowing locks coming out of the back of his helmet. So what do you think about Miami? Do you think they take a step forward, a step back, or are they kind of right where they are from last year?
Oh, man. Miami, McDaniels, and Tua.
Yeah.
A nice combo. So they have success.
It works.
Yeah. What I don't know about Miami is at least last year, I know they were injured, so I don't want to not say that when I say the next.
Don't worry. Let me tell you something. You have no control over what happens to Tua or anybody just by saying something. And a lot of people think that. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
If I say this or if I sit on this part of the couch, no,
people don't
you have no
put
control.
it out there into the universe. Yeah. But you know what? It's the Miami hype machine. And so last year, they just couldn't beat the good teams. Like, they beat a lot of teams,
That's
but facing a good team, they just couldn't pull it out.
Yeah.
I call them the Dallas of the AFC. Dallas does the same thing. They'll mop up on teams when they face a good team. They struggle, or maybe just Dak struggles. But I do like their division for them. I think it's winnable. Miami.
It is.
I think it is. As long as the Jets, which I assume will have some issues, as good as they are, we'll get to them.
The Jets, of course.
Exactly, and because you're from up north.
Yeah,
and we know that team never wins ever.
No.
Ever.
They have the longest playoff drought in the NFL right now. I mean, it's
since
been
the Super Bowl is the last time they won a Super Bowl was their last Super Bowl. They never even sniffed it after that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going back that's 1968.
69.
Real. Just ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, there's not much good to say about them as a franchise as a whole. But, yeah, sticking with the Dolphins for a minute, the way that I feel about them is almost the way I feel about our team, and we'll talk about Brock Purdy and the 49ers later, but Tua is more of a guy that you win with, not a guy that wins for you, and that's fine, but everybody else has got to be around. Tyreek Hill can't keep coming out of games. Jalen Waddle, he just got paid. Show me something. I mean, he's
two of them are a lot of money. Two wide receivers making a ton of money.
A ton of cash. So they're clearly saying the pieces around Tua is what's going to help Tua, but then you got to pay Tua. Let's see what Trey Frazier has to say over here real quick. Dolphins lost the division when they couldn't close out that Monday Night Football game against the Titans. I remember watching that painfully. That's a game. That's a game that they should have won. You're right about that, Trey. And that does tell you a lot when it comes down to those pressure situations. But remember, Miami couldn't score in that game against Tennessee. I think the game was in Tennessee, but either way, Kenny, I'm not that big on Miami unless look, and that's asking a lot. If everybody's healthy, then yeah, they're a playoff team. But if they lose to Tyreek Hill, I mean, they're down. That's it. Over.
Basically, that one guy going down would hurt them very, very badly against good teams. And as we said, they already have issues with tough teams. And that's why I also wanted to say that they were very injured last year, because maybe that's why they were losing to the good teams. But you still got to pull out the games, even if you have injuries. Injuries are just part of the game. It's like another thing you have to account for. You have to have backups.
Yep, that's right. Backups are really important, especially backup quarterbacks, believe it or not. Those are really important. And especially, I mean, there was something like 69 starting quarterbacks last year. I mean, God in heaven, it's ridiculous. Look, it's a tough league. It's tough, so what the hell are you going to do? But, the Dolphins were up by 13 with 2 minutes left. That's right, and lost the game 28-27, if he's not mistaken. That's right. They blew that game. I remember Will Levis after the game. He's right about that. They ended up blowing that game, the Dolphins. Oh, do
you know how many games they lost within 2 or 3 points like that last year?
And that's the kind of team that they are. It reminds you like Minnesota the year before, which another team we'll get to a little bit later. But yeah,
hope they don't turn into the Raiders.
Oh my God, the Raiders. Nobody wants to be the Raiders right now. Nobody wants to be them. And nobody wants to be the Patriots either, because that's who we're going to get to next. They didn't do
look, the Dolphins are a fast team.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Daniels. So they'll be a factor on
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. They should be a factor. Again, got to stay healthy, but if these guys all stay healthy and they play through the year, they got to improve on defense. That's one thing. I got to see Bradley Chubb go back to the guy that we all thought he was going to be. All right, I want to find out what that's going to be like. But we can't talk about the Patriots and Kenny. I just don't understand what they're doing or what they're not doing. I mean, there is nothing going on right now. The players that they're bringing, KJ Osborne, Austin Hooper, Jacoby Brissett is back to back up for Drake May, who we don't know how good he's going to be. And he's got nobody to even throw the freaking ball to. They lose Zeke Elliott, who was one of their few good players last year, if you can even say that. Obviously, Mac Jones is out. Mike Gesicki is out, which is a big deal because I don't know. I think he's a pretty damn good tight end, even when he played for the Dolphins. Jalen Mills
have your tight end, a rookie,
Yeah,
rookie loves his tight end.
Oh man, and rookie head coach in Gerard Mayo. I mean, he's handed a really bad dish right now. I don't know how he's going to eat it.
That's tough. I mean, he's hoping to take his licks there and then move to another job, I assume. That's where he's going to get his success. I don't see it happening here. I also don't see it happening because did I interrupt you?
No, I'm listening to
okay.
you. No, we're good.
I just don't know about the Pats. Here's my thing. I don't want to say that I think football's rigged, but I think it may be pushed into directions sometimes. And I just feel like the Pats just had this incredible run. There's no way they're just going to come back and compete again. I find this team to be in the bottom of this division for years and years.
Yeah.
I kind of see that happening. But I'll try and be more optimistic for the Pats fans. Ramondre, running back.
Yeah, he's a hell of a player.
He is a very good player. I don't like. I said I was going to be positive. I didn't say how long. Drake May, I don't mind the guy. I can see him having success. I don't see it happening this year, and I don't see it happening by the middle of the season or in the middle of the season. I don't think he should play at all this year.
How can he have success if he's got nobody to help him to throw the
nobody
ball?
to throw to but Kendrick Bourne.
And I like Kendrick Bourne, but he is far from a number one wide receiver. And again, I like Ramondre Stevenson, but they're going to be putting 8 guys in the box defenses for the most part, and they're going to disrupt Drake. Look, it does not look good.
Rosters in the NFL easily.
Yeah, that's why, again, for a lot of quarterbacks, it does depend on where you land, how your career is going to shape out, if it does at all. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and Mahomes inherited a very nice team. He wasn't a Bear. He wasn't a Panther. It wasn't.
Alex Smith was winning with him. Again, I like Alex Smith, but they were doing well with him. But in comes Patrick
Mahomes. And
Mahomes.
a person to have to talk to too when you're young, Alex Smith.
Yeah,
very good person.
No doubt.
Who started out at a very young age and took a bunch of different directions and coordinators and coaches and
So he
also could
he's
talk
the kind
to
of guy that's happy to help. He really.
Someone in your ear like that, to tell you things. You hear these stories. It helps you grow up. It helps you, evolve or upgrade. Like when you're in a game and you get 100
points. Mahomes is the kind of guy that will listen to you and he will take in positive information. So
he's a good kid.
It's good work.
He's a hard worker. He's a good leader, and you can tell he loves winning. It's going to be tough to get him off of there.
Oh yeah, you know it.
But you know what? They do have the safety's nice. Like I said, Jabril Peppers. I think we were talking about that off camera. Yeah. Jabril Peppers. They got Kyle Tucker, right?
Yep.
Not bad. I think they got like 10 guys trying to vie for the top 3 wide receivers on that team, but nobody knows any of those guys. That is a big problem. And I've looked at the free agents at wide receiver because of what's going on with BA, and there's just really nobody there. There's really nobody on free agents at wide receiver, and trying to snag a decent wide receiver from another team is going to be impossible. I don't know, like you said already, I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Juju's there.
Is he still there?
Yeah, I think
Juju's probably.
Still there. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if he's even going to make the team. I have no idea at this point because it's, but yeah, easily worst division. They'll be dead last. I don't know if they win 5 games.
Yeah, I think their over-under, is 4.5, and I would probably take the under on that, which is...
I would take the under, too. Now, hearing it, I think that's more accurate, yeah.
Oh, man, I can see the 3-4 team tops, and again, it's not Bill Belichick anymore. No knock against Gerard Mayo. Who knows? Maybe he get the most out of these guys, but that remains...
And some more good news for Mayo and the Pats fans. They'll have the first pick again.
Yeah, right. Maybe they get another quarterback.
You know what? You can trade that sucker and make some moves, but they're not going to last as long as hitting one pick. You know what's going to happen? They're going to want a quarterback again. Watch.
If that's the case, and That's terrible. I mean, they're going to have to give this kid at least 2 years, but let's see if he gets in. When he gets in, like I said, Jacoby Brissett is back on the team, so he may even start the season.
Oh, he's going to start the season. He's going to start the season.
Most likely. And we know that Aaron Rodgers wants to start the season as we go to the Jets, a team that I was not high on last year, way before Aaron Rodgers got his injury. I did not have him as a playoff team, but you know what, Kenny? I got him as a playoff team this year. And it's not necessarily because of all the moves they made. It's because I think that Rodgers will be healthy enough. And I know that's weird to say, a 40-year-old quarterback who's done it, Tom Brady, and the list is far.
40-year-old quarterback with what? Half a dozen MVPs?
Yeah.
Exactly.
More MVPs. He's got a Super Bowl. I mean, I know it's a long time ago, but I still believe this guy can sling it. And I think Garrett Wilson is going to benefit from it tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
Fantasy football, Garrett Wilson. Still grab him in the second round. I might.
Last year, poor guy had nobody to throw it to him.
No, he's got nobody to throw the
Still
ball.
had a decent season.
And you know what? If something does happen to Aaron Rodgers, they did a good job with their backup quarterback this year, Tyrod Taylor. I know he's a journeyman, but the kid can play. They pick up Mike Williams. They pick up Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith on the offensive line. Hassan Reddick is a huge deal on defense. That guy is a game record to go along with Quinn and Williams. That team right now, bro, is totally stacked. They didn't lose really anybody except for maybe Jordan Whitehead, who was a really good player. He's going back to Tampa Bay, as a matter of fact. But the Jets, they're totally stacked. So if that offensive line can protect Aaron Rodgers, I believe this team has a really good chance of winning the division.
I think they plan to have Rodgers for more than this year when they drafted Fashanu, right? Taking the offensive lineman with the first pick was a sign that, they're going to protect Rodgers. I don't think they have any idea of moving on from him anytime soon, as long as he can stay upright, like you said. What else is going? Yeah, the offensive line improves. Tyrod Taylor, like you said, is a good backup in case anything happens. He's also a good, like you said, a journeyman. Again, a lot of experience, a lot of stories, great backup. It's nice.
I like it.
It's like guys that have experience, who've been in the league, who've been around. They have stories. They're relatable guys, and they bring up the spirits of the locker room, which if you've ever played on a team and been in the locker room, that means a lot. I've been on teams that the kids didn't get along. I've been on teams where everybody was best friends. I've been on teams with a bad coach. I've been on teams with a great coach. All that stuff is part of why teams win games. Here's another example of Saleh and Rodgers. You have the head coach. You have the quarterback. This is one of those teams that could really win the Super Bowl if everything goes right.
I believe that.
And here Saleh could win before Kyle with the aging quarterback, as opposed to winning with the quarterback on the rookie contract, right? It's usually the two ways you win your Super Bowls. And this could be in the bag in this division, at least. As we spoke, Bills not 100%, doesn't look like, and the Dolphins, they're going to struggle, likely with injuries again.
Yep.
So it could be a wrap for the Jets in this division.
I think they have a great chance of winning it and being possibly an 11-16. I get confused with the records now because of the 17.
I would say I think 8-9 would win this division. Let me just say that. I'm saying
you're really low.
Basement. I'm saying that's what they're going to be. I'm just saying that they could win it at 8. Right. That's all I'm saying. They could win their division with 8 wins. I think that's how I feel.
Wow.
So I'm basically just saying it's a wrap in that division for the Jets.
I don't think it's going to be that bad. I still think Miami.
No.
I know you're kidding. I know. Yeah, I still think Miami could pull out 9 or 10 wins. I think Buffalo could pull out 9 or 10 wins, and I think the Jets again.
Okay.
Health is everything. We all know it, and so we're not going to keep repeating that for every team. As my dog is jumping over here, but Aaron Rodgers, if he can stay healthy for all these games, what's up, puppy? Then I like the Jets a lot. I really do. I think they'll.
Is it a corgi?
Boy. What's that?
Is it a corgi?
No, he's a shepherd mix.
Oh, okay.
He's all mixed up about everything. He's out of his.
He look like Bingo. Remember that movie Bingo?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Does he look like Bingo?
Yeah, he kind of does a little bit.
Okay, that's it. I see it. Yeah,
this is this guy right here.
Nice.
He's over here. This nut ball. All right, let's move on to the AFC North. So Baltimore had their thing going on last year until they met Kansas City in the AFC Conference Championship game. So what happens? What do? Well, they lose J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. They both go to the to the Los Angeles Chargers, but they bring in Derrick Henry. So talk about a backfield right now. All
wow.
right,
The team that already could run the ball a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really. I mean, come on. What are you going to do when they actually do that RPO, when that run option is, oh my God, they're going to demolish teams with that. So you hope they can both stay healthy. You got to really like that. And, Zay Flowers came on last year. Mark Andrews coming off an injury. He'll be back. Rashard Bateman even started playing really well. But they do lose Morgan Moses, if you talked about. He went to the Jets. They lose Patrick Queen to division rival Pittsburgh Steelers and Jadeveon.
Rival.
Right. So I found that to be really interesting. And Patrick Queen's a nice player. But when Roquan Smith came in there, he became their defensive leader. And he is a hell of a player. So the Ravens, they're stacked. Their over-under is 11.5 wins. Man, that's a lot. But if any team is close, they're one of them, man.
The Ravens are the Ravens. They have the MVP. They just added one of the greatest running backs ever.
Can I tell you something before you keep going? I got to get your opinion.
Yeah.
I love Lamar Jackson's game. He was not the MVP last season. I'm sorry. His name wasn't talked about until like the last 2 or 3 weeks.
I more leaned towards CMC, Tyreek, or Brock.
Correct.
Those guys.
Not so much Brock for me, but I'm with you. Tyreek and CMC, yes.
Yeah, it wasn't a quarterback year, in my opinion. I agree. I thought it was one of the years you should give it to something else. Give people hope, for Christ's sake.
Absolutely.
Excuse me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump off on that, but I had to get your opinion on that.
No, you can interrupt me anytime, just for the future. No, the Ravens have some issues, though, right? They're a great team, but they have some issues. They have a very tough schedule, like right off the bat. And it just keeps going. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
They lost their DC, right? So they lost their DC.
Yep. Mike McDonald went over to Seattle.
When we lost our DC last year, we had the worst defense that I think we've had in about 4 or 5 years. Wilkes didn't. I'm not blaming Wilkes. I'm just saying that Wilkes didn't, and us, it didn't work.
Yeah, losing Hufanga was a big deal, in a safety position. We'll talk about that, of course, but I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we said, they're already a great running team that added a great running back. I mean, you're not going to be able to stop this team. I don't know how you stop this team. I don't think that even Spagnuolo in Kansas City will be able to stop this team. I don't think so. I really think that the Ravens will beat the Bills or the Chiefs or the Bengals, whoever it is, and be in the Super Bowl. This is on paper stuff. You know how it is. Like, you ever play fantasy baseball? You pick your team, like, nobody's going to beat me. You come in sixth.
Right.
So, because on paper, shit looks great. And so no injuries, no problems. Nobody gets arrested. Nobody drives drunk and hits somebody and leaves the scene.
God forbid.
As long as none of that stuff happens,
no,
this team should be unstoppable. They should be okay in the defense. They'll be able to hang with just about anybody.
Well, they've been known to be regular season warriors, but they're going to have to, pump it up a little bit. They did get to the championship game last year against Kansas City. Bad performance, but, let's see what they could do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The team that in the playoffs is not as devastating as they are in the regular season. And I think one of the big things was, I don't know why they stopped running in the second half of that game last year. This is one of the things where, like, I'm not saying football is rigged, but I don't know why you stop running all of a sudden. Yeah. I don't understand it. I wouldn't do it. I don't think you would do it. But why does this head coach do it?
Hey, you know what? Same can be said for the Detroit 49er NFC Championship game. Why the hell did Detroit stop running the ball? They were kicking our ass for that.
They were destroying us. And then all of a sudden, Debo gets the pass, elbows some dude in the head, gets 30 yards, and then everyone's pumped. Yeah. And that was it. Right.
Momentum is an amazing
I don't want to get into the Niners, but again, Brock, what did he have to do? He had to do these comebacks. We've never seen Brock come back. Does it twice in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. You have to be.
Listen, one of the things we stunk was because I think those 3 weeks that we had off, that was rust, in my opinion. All the Niners said they loved the rest, and I love the rest too because they needed it. But when you're off for 3 weeks from real competition, I think you suffer.
They're a team that can regroup. Certain teams can't do it. Some teams are more disciplined than others, and they're a team that was able to do it. So,
and KC also does that. They're a second half team. KC doesn't care if they're down 13 in the first half. Reed is just watching you, learning from you.
That's where coaching comes in. That's where coaching comes in, Kenny. Halftime adjustments. Kyle Shanahan does it. Andy Reid does it. They're two of the best out there.
They're the best. Yes, sir.
John Harbaugh, absolutely,
Harbaugh.
no question. So we're both high on Baltimore. How high? So high. No, I don't know how high. We'll see how high we
We'll
actually
see,
get.
right? Because it's July 1st or the end of
July.
June. We'll see what happens.
And now I'm high on the Cincinnati Bengals this year because of Joe Burrow. T. Higgins coming back on that contract, but they get Gesicki. They add Zach Moss. They do lose Joe Mixon and Tyler Boyd. I don't know how much that's going to hurt because they're going to be more of a passing team as it is. Even though Mixon's a great player, he goes to Houston.
Mixon's a great running back.
He's an awesome running back, and he goes to the Texans like they need more freaking.
Like they need more. Yeah, that was every time I look at the Texans. That's another it has to be them and Ravens, right? Last two.
They're making huge moves. These teams, man. It's
but
a big
we
deal.
talked about the Jets too being a factor.
Yeah,
This is such
I
an
love
exciting. I'm so pumped for this year. I'm ready
Me
to
too.
watch other teams play each other. It's that kind of year.
Oh, absolutely. I'll watch any game. Give me any game.
There are games I'm not excited about usually that aren't Niner based, but this year there's so many great games planned.
Yeah.
So
many great games and so many great players. And Joe Burrow is one of those players, Kenny. But again, 2 out of 4 years he's been hurt. But here it is again. If he stays healthy, great. If he stays healthy, I think that is a team that can make to at least the AFC Championship, maybe even the Super Bowl, because Joe Burrow is that good. And it's been proven watching Patrick Mahomes that even if you lose a guy like Tyreek Hill, if you're that good at quarterback, you can still win. So I believe that Burrow is that type of good. He's got to stay healthy. I like him to win this, to at least contend in this division with Baltimore. I really do. I think they would split in their game. Cincinnati's kind of had them a little bit, but you're thinking more Baltimore than Cincinnati as we speak right now. We'll talk about Steelers and Browns in a few minutes.
Wow, this division, again, this is what I'm saying. Like football is like supersized this year for some reason. I'm so pumped. I feel like all that gambling money is being pumped back into the NFL. I don't want to get into that. So we're doing Bengals. Healthy Joe Burrow. That's all they need, right? If Joe is healthy, a great quarterback like that's going to get you 10 wins by himself, right? A great quarterback can get you 8 to 10 wins by himself.
Yes.
Last year, they didn't even need him. They had a lot of success with Browning, the backup. They succeeded just fine.
There you go. And that's kind of my point. Look how they finished 9-8 with Browning. And so that kind of proves that, Zach Taylor's a pretty damn good head coach, I guess, huh?
A lot of teams are becoming Niner-like, right? They're starting to – I mean, everyone's pretty much doing our offense. And most of our defensive coordinators are on other teams. So
my God, you ain't kidding. Every other year.
It's just Niners. Our backup quarterbacks are everywhere. They don't disappear. So when people make fun of Kyle for not knowing anything about quarterbacks, all right, well, that's fine. You may be right, but all those guys are on other teams backing up all-stars.
Yeah.
Why? It's got to be something. So anyway, sticking to the Bengals, I don't know who the running back is there now. Is it somebody new? Is it someone they signed last year?
Who's coming in for them this year at running back? Zach Moss. He's going to play. And now, will he be their number one guy? I'm not really sure, but he's the one standing out right now.
Okay, well, that doesn't sound super scary. It seems like running could be a problem. I don't know who they drafted this year at running back, or maybe I do. The cornerbacks are not super duper solid over there. Okay. So cornerbacks could be a problem. Defensive line has one real threat, one real defensive, get to the quarterback guy. They drafted Chris Jenkins, and they drafted McKinley Jackson. Those are 2 DBs, I think. So they're trying to address the fact that they know their secondary is not super strong.
Right. So going right to your point, there you go. Like the Eagles did, same thing.
Yeah. So they're improving the backfield, not the backfield, the DBs. The offensive line is still good. So if Burrows remains healthy, if the running back can give them anything, because you can't throw on every play, right?
No, even though if you ask Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb, you can do that going back in the day.
Yeah. You have the Kurt Warner and all those guys. You could probably do that 5 wide receiver sets all day. And I don't have a problem doing that. I actually I would go 5 wide receiver for 20 plays in a row, but I'm not a head coach.
It sounds fun.
I would have CMC and Kittle in those 5 wide receivers, though.
Yeah. Why not?
Out of the box head coach. No, so like you said before, this is a Burrows thing. It all hinges on his health, I think. I think, like we just said, with Browning succeeding, I don't think this team, got better, not worse. So it's going to be a tough division. Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Cleveland. This is just insane.
So I mean, so Cleveland. Let's move into them. Let's roll through these teams in the division. Cleveland. I mean, Deshaun Watson. Here we are again. Let's see what happens. They bring in Jameis Winston to back him up. That doesn't do anything for me at all. Nothing.
Yeah.
I even look. I'm not a big college guy, but I even knew at Florida State. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't see why everybody's so in love with this kid.
He loves to throw for lots of yards because he's usually down, right?
There you
Usually
go.
losing, so
Right.
he can throw for 6,000 yards a season because he's losing the whole game.
Stats are skewed. They are.
Yeah.
But the Browns do pick up Jerry Jeudy. I think he's a halfway decent player. Let's see what
I
happens. Deontay Foreman's going to help him out at running back to back up Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, hopefully he's ready for the season opener. That guy is a fantastic player. I love watching him play.
Be RB1 100% should be
Yeah.
RB1. Yeah.
So good.
Like you said, Deshaun, it's another team that hinges on him. I mean, this guy isn't doing anything for 2 years now.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Karma's a bitch. That's all I have to say.
Keep Baker. Oh, I think we talked about this on when you did your last show. I think this is what said that in the comments, that if you just keep Baker, you save all that draft capital, all that money, all that.
Yeah.
I think they could have won even last year. You saw how close they got.
Right.
But they
Look
had
what
to go
Baker
there.
did with Baker with Tampa Bay.
Flacco.
Who would have thought?
Flacco in January, February, dude is like Biden, basically. I mean, you can make a little bit of a comparison where you have Flacco out there who's done it. He can do it. He's a good guy, but it's February, and the guy started halfway through the season, and I doubt he was out there doing wind sprints from May to August before that. So like,
Style.
that's what hurt them.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he's over there succeeding in Tampa. That's got to hurt.
That's right. It does. It has to hurt. And again, they drafted him #1 overall, and then they let him go. And now they're watching him actually starting to become a pretty darn good football player. And he's kept that attitude way down. That was a big thing with him, was him being on all these commercials and everything like that, and
Yeah.
him having his own
Farm.
ego. Yeah, it rubbed players the wrong way. But you know what? He's conformed more to like that blue collar type of guy. Bring your lunch pail to work sort.
And
of
he's
thing.
going to be an analyst. You can tell. He's kind of a hang.
Yeah.
He's a kind of a character. He's a good-looking dude. He can
He's
talk
still
football.
dummy. And I'll tell you that he's a smart guy. That guy's smart as a whip. Let me tell you. I know people look at him and they think,
He's
no.
still here, bro. He's still here.
smart guy.
Still here
Well,
starting.
I'll tell you
But-
who's not here is Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett. He's out. He went over to Philadelphia. In comes Russell Wilson and Justin Fields.
Just a
Trubisky-
couple dudes.
What's that?
Just a couple guys.
Yeah, just a couple guys. No big deal. No big deal. Oh man, that'll be fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll ask you the question. We'll get into it, but to run through it real quick. Trubisky, another quarterback, gone. Mason Rudolph, he's gone. He goes to Tennessee. They bring in Cordarrelle Patterson, Patrick Queen, who I like at linebacker, and Dante Jackson from Carolina. That was in a trade. So I like some of the moves they made. They did lose Deontay Johnson. Now, I'm sorry about that, and Patrick Peterson and Quan Alexander. They're out. But those guys are getting older anyway.
are.
Yeah, they're looking to get younger, so they bring in guys like a Patrick Queen. So really focusing, Kenny, more on Fields and Russell Wilson for this question and for this moment. Who do you think should start? Why? What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
I think it's going to be Russ, Danger Russ.
Okay.
I see him at least starting and very likely finishing the season as the quarterback. I don't think Justin will ever play. I don't think he'll ever play. And I hear this stuff. I don't know if you heard it about him returning punts now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But when you hear stuff like that, it starts to make you think like this dude isn't the quarterback.
Right.
They're trying to find somewhere else to throw him. They could still trade him.
Quarterback back there to freaking return a kick. That's absolutely insane. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I know that was like nonsense, but like when you start hearing this crazy stuff, you're like, well, this guy, I mean, he's clearly not running away with the quarterback job, right?
No, definitely not.
He has value.
I
I
think
want to see him like use like Taysom, where it's like this like gimmick thing, and it's sort of wasted. I mean, I say go with Taysom or don't make him do these like coming in and out of the. It's a waste. It's a waste of money.
Weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You remember that starting with like Tim Tebow kind of thing, or Cordell Stewart at even back in the
Cordell
90s.
Stewart made it work though, right? Cordell Stewart was good at it.
Yeah,
and I think that's the problem. Not everybody can do that.
No, not everybody can do that. So, I mean, that's a big deal. But I think they start with Russell Wilson. I think that is the way to go. You brought him in. He's experienced. I know they lost Deontay Johnson, wide receiver, like I mentioned before. That's a big deal. But they got George Pickens to work with. They're going to be more centric around the running game with Najee Harris. And they really haven't had success over there. So they're going to have to figure something out with that offensive line and that run game because it really has been pretty. But you don't think Justin Fields even gets on the field this year? I don't know. I think he'll be in for some gimmick plays, but I think Russell Wilson will do a good enough job to keep his job. So I'll have to actually agree with you. As we move on to the Texans now, we talked about it. They bring in all these guys, Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, along, Noah Brown is staying, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz is staying, Nico Collins. Come on. And on the defensive side, Danielle Hunter from Minnesota, one of their best defensive players.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine?
Unbelievable what these guys did.
It should be not allowed. Like the NFL should have and been like, guys, stop.
Right. Where did they find the room to get all these players?
Look at the other teams that are always in last place doing like nothing. Like this. Look at what Texans are doing. And CJ's on his second year. They're going 110% in.
They are.
On getting up there and competing for the Super Bowl. And they know how many fans they're going to get. They're going to get so many new fans, which is really what you want, right? You want your team doesn't succeed. Young kids typically like the team that's like when they're like 7 to 12 years old. Whoever's like the team winning is usually who they like.
Yeah,
so NFL is huge. You have to like lock in these people, especially when people aren't watching football as much as they used to.
Right. Lots of front runners out there.
Yeah. Texans are absolutely ridiculous. With Slowick over there now. At offensive coordinator, they got Bobby Slowick from us. They got D'Amico Ryan at head coach. Where did Fangio didn't land here, right? Fangio landed somewhere else.
No,
he's somewhere else.
Miami. I think was it Miami that he went to?
No, he left Miami too.
He left Miami. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia. I got to check that.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
It's Philly.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, they have that recipe again. The great quarterback, the great coach. Well, I don't know if D'Amico's a great coach, but he's a very good coach.
He's a very good quarterback. There's no doubt about it. I mean, really.
You always want the head coach and the quarterback. That's like the first thing you want, right? So they have that. They're set to repeat, right? Their success from last year and maybe even go beyond that. CJ, a lot of pressure on him. He's got a lot of pressure on him. It's his sophomore season.
There is now. Yep.
I don't expect him to have a slump, but it's very possible. And like we said, the offseason moves were insane. Diggs, right? I mean, wow.
Yeah, it's huge. Diggs is Diggs, Collins, Noah Brown, Tank Dell. Are you freaking kidding me? What?
And then they drafted Kamari Lassiter, quarterback. I just watched some film. He's one-handed. After intercepting the ball in practice. This is a guy who doesn't have great hands, but he's having fun in camp. So
Houston should win this division. They really, really should. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Jacksonville kind of blew it last year. We'll get to them in a second, but the Colts, who always seem to have fight in them, they're going to get their quarterback back, Anthony Richardson, and let's hope that he plays more than a quarter of football this year because it was horrible to see him go out.
That's just it. He went out in November, I think it was. End of November?
No, earlier, man. Shit, I think it was the end of September, actually. Guy played like 4 games, and
what a bummer, man.
3 of them.
That's a bummer. Yeah. You're a young kid. You're pumped. You get, you got your team. You're the quarterback, and then that happens. That's just the worst. I hate injuries.
It's terrible. So we're all, whether you're a Colts fan or not, you're praying for the kid and you hope that he does, that he comes back and he's at full strength and can show what, he's got to offer the league.
He really needed that experience from last year. He really needed it for them to succeed this year. They could have got second place in this division easily, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So. They had Gardner Minshew, who did a decent job, but they're bringing in Joe Flacco, his old ass, who was on the couch, and then all of a sudden got called to Cleveland and balled out. I don't know how the hell that happened. That was crazy. But Houston beat them in the playoffs, and then Houston lost to Baltimore. But anyway, as we go along, like I said, Minshew gone. He goes to the Raiders, and then you still got Michael Pittman and DeForest Buckner. They re-signed with the team. Like we said, Zach Moss, he's out of here. He went to the Bengals. Isaiah McKenzie went to the Giants. So they didn't do a whole lot, but they still got Jonathan Taylor back there.
And also, unfortunately, for another guy is Sean Steichen, right? It was his rookie
Yeah,
year last year. Head coach loses
losing.
his quarterback. It
Sure,
happened to Kyle.
no
It
doubt,
happened to Kyle. And
no
people
doubt.
give Kyle so much crap because he's got 3 losing seasons in 5 and 7 years or whatever it is. But like, dude, COVID year, I really hate counting that as a season at all. Of course, the Chiefs won that Super Bowl. But and also with
That was
Kyle
Tampa.
dealing with those injuries early on and having 0 people on his team, you got to have a little. I'm sorry to keep diverting to Niner stuff, but similar situation for Steichen. I hope he doesn't fall into that. I hope Richardson stays healthy all year. I hope they get second in this division, and I hope they improve again next year.
Yeah.
I wish them the best.
Of course, of course. You don't want to see. Look, if a team is not going to do well, then they're not going to do well. But you don't want it. You know, you're not rooting for guys to get injured. So hopefully,
No, you want to play the best
see what he's got.
competition. You want to play
Right.
the best team put out
Now
there.
Jacksonville just like fell the hell apart. I don't know what the hell was going on over there.
Some in
But
there. Yeah.
I know that Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and that's a big deal. When he's
Another
your-
chronically injured guy all of a sudden.
Yeah, and to pay him that much money, man, I mean, I get
He's
it.
20 and 30. 20
They
and
had
30.
to do it. I know they had to do it though. It's like you have to get this.
Well,
that's
yeah, or he'll
that's
leave.
giving money away.
Right? Yeah. It's exactly what they did with, I think, Kirk and Ridley. What's your other option? Let them go to a great team? You have to overpay them. It's the only way they would want to play in Jacksonville.
You got that
In my
right.
opinion. But then again, I'm a Yankees fan, so like if someone was like the Yankees are offering you $5 million, but the Mets are offering you $33 million, I'm playing for the Yankees. I can live on a budget, Jason. So
Hey, I'm a Met fan, and I even understand that. I mean,
Oh, that's all
the
right.
Yankees are the deal. The Yankees.
you know the shirts that used to be in all the stores when we were little. It'd be like I root for the Yankees and whoever's playing the Mets, or I root for the
Yes,
Mets and whoever's
yes.
playing for the Yankees. Remember those
Classic
bad
stuff.
shirts?
Classic. Love that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. You see, background beautiful. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. So anyway, as far as Jacksonville goes, they pick up Devin Duvernay and Gabe Davis because they lose Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, where did he go to now? Well, why am I losing? Was it Tennessee?
Yes, it is Tennessee. They have a great wide. We'll get to them next, apparently.
Yeah, we're gonna get them in a second. Absolutely. And Josh Allen is staying around on defense. He signed a 5-year contract. I don't know if they're good enough to make the playoffs, let alone win this division. I don't know. What are your thoughts about
No, they're
Jackson?
fighting for dead last with the Titans, I'm guessing.
Okay. All
Right?
right.
What do you
That's what
think?
we're looking at.
That's a bold take, but man, he's probably gonna be hurt in and out again. So what? CJ Beathard, is that their backup?
See, I think it is Beathard, which
It's
is
still Beathard, I think. And look, I don't want to badmouth Beathard, but everyone knows what Beathard is. He's a backup quarterback. So
Right.
that's going to be a huge problem. And I don't think they drafted a quarterback in the draft, but of course that could have been a late pick that I just can't
well.
remember.
Who did they got Mac Jones from the Jets?
There it is.
Not Mac Jones. Mac Jones from the Patriots. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Mac Jones from the Patriots. Yeah, I knew you were in the AFC East. I knew you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? They did get Armstead. They did get Mike Morse, the former center for the Bills we talked about before. Those are nice trench guys. They're not the greatest trench guys. Morse is a little older. I'm sure that's why he's gone, right? And Armstead, we know about Armstead. He's got his foot issue.
Oh boy.
He's got plantar fasciitis, which that shit don't go away. That's one of the things I got after my injury, and it never went away for when I was younger. So that sucked. But you know what? They might have had one of the worst off seasons, even though they added Morse and Armstead, which is saying a lot. They did draft Brian Thomas Jr. He's a wide receiver too, or is he a line? He's a wide receiver. Okay. Javon Foster, they lost Ridley, and in the division they lost Ridley, which is a terrible thing to happen.
Yeah,
that's for straight up spite, right?
Yeah,
that's straight up spite, and that's messed up because these guys really overpaid Ridley, and then he wants to go to the Titans to hurt him. That's
right.
That's maybe saying a lot that we don't know in the going on in the background. So
the Titans brought in a few players here. They brought in Tony Pollard. Obviously, they lose Derrick Henry, so you got to do something. And Pollard is no Derrick Henry, but the kid can play. Calvin Ridley, we just mentioned. Tyler Boyd goes over there, so they should help the development of Will Levis, but also defensively.
No, they added a lot of guys. I'll give you that, and I like the guys that they have. Their wide receiver room is beautiful. The Pollard, I don't love Pollard, but he's got moves. Who I do like, though, is the backup, is Spears.
Yes, Tajay Spears is a good
Tajay,
player.
there it is. I really liked him, and I think he could break out. He could have a very good year.
No
If the
question.
two of them
They're
could both
sharing
give
the
them 1,000 yards, I think it's totally possible. I think they
ball.
could both
Both
give them.
get 1,000?
I think they could both get 1,000 because they're going to have to run the ball if they want to throw it to Hopkins and Boyd and Ridley and all these people. I think they're going to have to. You can't throw it. I still believe you can't throw on every play. I just don't believe that.
There you go.
It's just me. You've got to run the ball, and I still think you got to run the ball more than you pass. I'm just old school like that. So
No. There have been few and far between the teams that have just been able to pass the ball and win. Like it comes to mind the 2007 Patriots, one of the few teams that just threw the
he
ball.
spread that ball. He threw that ball in one game to sometimes 12 different guys.
Yeah.
Because for fantasy, I remember from fantasy.
Never seen anything like that in my life, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to see it again. That
Probably.
dominant as a dominant gets.
Yeah.
Totally dominant. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, so Derrick Henry, we said, is out. Tannehill is out, along with offensive tackles Andre Dillard and Chris Hubbard, who goes to the 49ers. So, we'll take the spoils. Why not?
Yeah. Hope he stays healthy.
Yeah, but so you're thinking more Titans at the bottom of the division.
I really think, even with everyone they have, I just don't think Levis is going to be that guy yet.
I don't think so.
But they did take Latham with their first pick.
Right.
Everyone thought they was going to take Joe Alt. They took Latham. That kind of threw me for a loop, but I like it. And they apparently only wanted him. People were like, oh, they missed on Alt or whatever. No, we wanted Latham the whole time, they said. I trust them with that. Didn't they also get Snead, cornerback?
Yeah, they did. Jarius Snead, absolutely.
Yeah, which is nice. So, yeah, I like the team, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to come together. I think there's a lot of times where there's a lot of good players on a team, but it just doesn't work.
I'm not sure
I think Levis is going to be the problem. I'm not saying he's not good. I just don't think he's going to be good enough to look at these guys. These are great wide receivers. They're going to want these like dimes on the route, on the cut. Can Levis do that? I just don't think he could do it.
I don't know. It's going to take a lot of off-season work. So let's see what they do in these training camps.
I hope so.
We'll see. We'll find out. Well, let's move on now to the last division in the AFC. That would be the West. And we're going to start with the Broncos, who are made of a bunch of mediocre players, and they make mediocre moves. So nothing to go crazy about. They drafted Bo Nix, so he will be their starting quarterback? That's a question mark. I have no idea because Zach Wilson comes in. I don't know if they can start. I mean, what the hell?
That doesn't get down to him.
What a weird QB room. God. Josh Reynolds.
QB3, Wilson.
At least QB3, QB4, clipboard.
If there's a 4, the practice squad. I think it'd take him off the. I don't know.
What a mess. But of course, that's because Russell Wilson gone. What's his name? Sean Payton, head coach for the Broncos, did not want that guy around at all.
Do you like Payton? Quick question.
Do I like Payton?
Yeah. Like people, I don't know if you remember, people want to fire Kyle, and they're like, Sean Payton. And I was like, no. Not for me.
Kyle Shanahan is great for what we do. He's I mean, look, there have been times, again, we're going to talk about the Niners a little bit, but when it comes down to the end of the game or, really important games, maybe he hasn't shown himself to be that great, but no, I don't need to be going that way. These guys are few and far between, so I don't think so. But anyway, the Broncos, they also lose Jerry Jeudy. Like we mentioned, Russell Wilson, he's gone. And Justin Simmons is a free agent. He's a pretty good safety. So I don't know why. I'm surprised he's not even picked up yet. But the Broncos apparently aren't going to sign him. So, again, what do you have over here? They got Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick.
I think Cortland's going to be traded. Possibly to the Steelers or the Patriots or something like that. I could see.
How much worse can it get? The Broncos are in bed.
They are probably going to be dead last. They're not going to have any production offensively. I just don't see it happening.
Unless Bo Nix turns out to be what we just don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it.
If he could come out and be like a Mahomes or even an Aiden O'Connell, it would be good.
Yeah, right, Aiden O'Connell. Jesus.
But I don't know. I mean, guys, look, it usually like of the top 10 draft slots, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if you're lucky, 2, if they take 5 quarterbacks in the top 10, 2 have this usually succeed. 1 way more than the other, but they both succeed. So do you see like the averages are just bad? It's just in order for him to succeed, it's very, very unlikely, but he very well could. So I like Stidham for quarterback. QB1 is going to be Stidham. So, you saw him play us.
Right. You might be
played
right.
a good game against us.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
we're a
it's
good
think
defense.
that Sean Payton kind of liked him, or maybe he was just kind of like putting it in Russell Wilson's face. I don't know, one way or the other. But everybody's going to have to contend with the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champions, back to back, looking to make it a three-peat.
Oh,
Dan,
yeah. Everyone's
Carson
calling
Wentz,
it already. People are already calling it. They're calling the season.
I mean, why not? I mean, how do you bet against the best player in football?
That's why I won't, because the bookies aren't stupid, right?
Nope.
Are you telling me that everyone today is going to lay down the bet $5,000, $3,000 on the Chiefs? You think that the Mafia is going to let the Chiefs win? You know the Mafia's in KC, they're in Las Vegas,
Jersey boy
they're in
right there.
Jersey.
KC, they just continue to get better. They had a good draft with that Xavier kid, a wide receiver, another fast dude. Carson
I hear
Wentz.
he's not doing great in camp, though. Just sidebar.
He
But
is,
he
or
will be fine. He'll be fine.
no, he's not doing so good in camp yet.
Well, this is from their own channels. Like I go in and I check out other
All
channels.
right.
Fans
All
are in there, and the analysts are talking about worthy bust potential. That's just their own words. I don't want to say that from me. That's what I heard them say.
Well, they got the right coaches.
Drop Sky Moore, drop
Sky
Tony. They got their problems, and on and off the field. So, and
Yeah.
Pat, as much as I don't love Pat, I don't want to say that, but I respect Patrick Mahomes. Last year, QB rating was 8th, 17 turnovers.
Yeah, right.
The kid could be declining. Now I know that sounds crazy after you win a bunch of Super Bowls. I would say that I'm that kind of person. These things happen. Eventually, it's so funny. I don't want to push my shorts, but I just did a short about this. The higher you go, the closer to the sun you get. You will fall. It's going to end for them somehow. If the NFL has it their way, they will win a 3-peat in double overtime, and Travis Kelce and Tay will get married at the 50 at halftime. Like that's what they want. So money wise, for the gamblers and all this, it's just a beautiful time for everybody in football and surrounding investors.
If you're in Kansas City, I guess so. Yeah. Well.
And now they're getting their new stadium. They're trying to move from one state to the other. There is a lot of action and news going on.
They need a new stadium. I know that it's historic, Arrowhead Field and everything like that. But
yeah. Well, make it a museum.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, make it outside the museum and have events on
Patrick Mahomes. That's all.
College games. You could have important college games there, big high school games and stuff, and just use it for that. It could be like a community thing. You don't have.
Why not? Can't knock that place down. It's got.
No, you can't. And when they knocked Yankee Stadium down, I was like, "What are you thinking? Just leave it.
Right.
Just friggin' leave it there."
Oh man.
You could still use it as like an event place and like a museum and this and that. How could you do that? It broke my heart. And then I go back there and it looks like the old stadium, but like in ancient Rome, and it's like all this stone and like it's so like cut and sharp edges, and so I hated it.
I tried getting creative with it, and it didn't work out for him. But good try. Swing and a miss on that one. What are you going to do? Total swing and miss right there.
Yeah.
But Kansas City, they lose. Who I think is a pretty solid piece when he's healthy is Jerick McKinnon. He's gone. We mentioned
we couldn't make him work, but they did.
Yeah, I know, right? Give me exactly.
And Richie James. It's amazing. These guys leave us. They go to the Chiefs. They get their rings. It's got to be brutal for us.
It hurts. It really hurts a lot. But I'm expecting the Chiefs. I'm not going to say they're an 11 or 12 win team necessarily. They can even go 10-7. But
another division where you could be 9 and whatever and win. I still think you could be 9-8 in this division and win it.
If they get in the playoffs, that's all that matters. Give Patrick Mahomes a chance, and that's all that they need to do.
Then their only competition would be the Raiders. I'm sorry, the Chargers. I would think in that division.
Do you think they'll win the division?
I think very easily they'll win it, even with even if they have issues. I think it's just a lock. I don't see anybody in that division even competing with them.
Nope, I'm not scared of the Broncos, and I think that I'm never scared of the Raiders. Forget
never. Although they have been improving. So
yeah, but it's nothing. It's nothing that's going to scare anybody. Kansas City's still the best team. Even when you look at the Chargers, they lose Austin Eckler, they lose Mike.
Yeah, no, they're not there. They have no wide receiver.
So they lose all their best players, and Justin Herbert's over here like scratching his like, what the hell's going on? I know they bring in J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, but Eckler gone to Washington, DJ Chark and linebacker Bud Dupree, but other people, Eric Kendricks is gone, Kenneth Murray, linebacker, is gone. I know that Jim Harbaugh is in, Kenny, but I don't like the way that things are looking for the Chargers right now.
I think the Chargers know that this is going to be a year like Kyle's first year. I think that Harbaugh came in here and he like dusted and mopped. He pledged. He had the lemon pledge. He made everything shiny in his way. And that's why I thought it would have been a good idea for us to trade Bell to him for a pick or something like that. 'Cause I don't know if we could hold all these guys in the wide receiver room. And you know that a Bell was in Michigan, and I'm sure that he would love another wide receiver. He was forced to take Jerry Rice's son and Luke McConkey, right? He's got McConkey over there and Brendan Rice. He took those guys like high, risk reward situation.
Right.
Like he's hoping for the best. Those are their wide receivers. They have nobody. Herbert again. Like it just. We already talked about it, but it all matters where you end up. Herbert is an insane quarterback. He is so talented, and he's getting nowhere on this team. And Bosa's going to be hurt half of the year likely. And Khalil Mack, I love, but I think he's getting a little overrated at this point. There's just not enough there, So Q Johnson, I suppose. Right.
Derwin James is an awesome player, but he also
like
misses time. He gets hurt, and he's also a hothead, man. I mean, I don't want to go ahead and call the guy a dirty player, but he's
troubled.
Yeah, he's borderline.
Again, another team has the head coach and they have the quarterback.
If you have the head coach and you have the quarterback, you're in good shape usually. And
I always say you can get 8 to 10 that way. 8 to 10 wins that way with just that.
Usually so, but Jim Harbaugh is going to have to do a hell of a coaching job. They're going to have to run the ball a lot and take the weight off of Justin Herbert's shoulders somehow in order to do that. I don't know how they will. But
does he and his brother face off this year? Do you know that?
I don't know, but if they were smart, they put that in there as soon as Jim Harbaugh announced that he was going to coach.
Yeah, they should have done that. The schedule people should have done that. A night game, it would have been nice.
Yeah, Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night. I'll take any of them, and that's why I love football's on all the time. I can't freaking wait, man.
Soon it'll be on every night. You know that. Soon the game there'll be more games. There'll be buys. There'll be bigger rosters. The cap will jump up. This shit is taking over. We have to make this. I think the NFL knows they have to make this our soccer. You know what I mean? Like, now they're trying to spread throughout the world, just like soccer.
And that's the other thing. They're doing all these streaming where you have to get Netflix now, and you have to get Peacock.
Almost $1,000 if you want to watch every game, Jason.
It's crazy, and they know you're going to do it because you love football. You don't want to miss anything.
Exactly, you love it. You want to see like the international games. I usually don't care, but if they're on Netflix, I'm going to get it because now I can get up at 4 a.m. and watch it. I can watch it on Netflix anytime. So
and they got us exactly right, and they got us by the balls with that, man. Oh boy, do they? They got us by the balls,
and it's not going to get any better. I mean, eventually, I think most to all games will be a pay-for streaming thing, and few of them will be for free. That's what I think.
Yeah, and the Dallas Cowboys will be on quite a few of them, whether Dak is their quarterback or not going into next year. He is this year. Right. It's been a quiet offseason for Dallas, really, Kenny. They haven't done much. Chatter about CeeDee Lamb's. CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons' contract. Those are the big talks really surrounding Dallas, and they're nonsense. But we mentioned before, they lost Pollard. They lost Michael Gallup.
They brought back Zeke, though, the best offensive lineman on the team.
The Cowboys?
Zeke, remember they brought back Zeke, but I'm making fun of him because they put him against us on that last play at center.
Yeah, at a time he was as big as an offensive lineman too. I mean, that boy gained a lot of weight.
So funny. It reminded me just like when we play with little kids and you just push them a little and they I felt bad for the guy. The team. We always break that team. I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Not so much, but a little.
The Giants had a really interesting offseason. I like that they brought in, Brian Burns from Carolina. Carolina's brought up a lot in the show. That's kind of ironic. That's weird. But
I like Burns.
Yeah, Burns is a hell of a player. Devin Singletary, okay, there's no more Saquon Barkley, so you got to do freaking something. But Jalen Mills, John Runyon coming back, Allen Robinson, Miles Boykin, Isaiah McKenzie. These are just a few of the names that they brought in. And they're getting younger and they're getting better. But losing Saquon is a big deal. They even lost his backup, Matt Breida, which is why Devin Singletary is there. Darren Waller retired.
That hurt.
What this all comes down to, for the most part, they lost Shepard, they lost McKinney. But is Daniel Jones going to be able to actually not just keep his job, but do well enough at his job where they're going to say, you know what, we got to get this guy some weapons?
Hey, you know what? Look it up. Guess who just got paid a big old salary for being 20 and 30? Trevor Lawrence, right? In the last 4 years, they have the exact same stats.
That's interesting.
Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence, you stack them up, QB rating, yards, touchdowns, interception. It's almost identical. It's crazy. Again, where you end up on, right? And so, Urban Meyer wasn't it sounded good at the time, right? But I think that's kind of been their issue in Jacksonville. I don't think that they've got the in-house, the front office stuff. That's like the coaches, the staff, the GM. Like the GM over there is a little nutty, right? And I think he wants to move this team to London, and it would make sense because England, Jaguars, the Jaguar company will sponsor the stadium, Jaguar Stadium. I mean, dude, it's about money. It's like a movie.
They played in London last year, back to back. I mean, geez.
Oh, they live there now. They live there. I think they're playing like 3 weeks in a row there, aren't they?
They got dual residence, these guys, without a doubt. I mean, come on now.
I mean, and it's cool. Actually, only a 13-hour flight from New York to England. And I know that that's like a long time, but, those guys are flying first class. They're going to have beautiful stewardesses. They're going to have 5-star Michelin meals.
Yeah.
And how nice it is in the airplane if you don't have to be like, squashed in there. It's just so nice and quiet, and it's like another world. That's just me. But, they brought in, they lost Saquon, but they brought in Neighbors, right? And I actually thought Neighbors was better than Marvin Harrison. Again, but not many people are going to agree with me. I think so.
Well, some people do agree with you.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So there's a really good chance that he can be that kind of guy. Again, it's not set in stone that Marvin Harrison automatically has to be the number one wide receiver to be in this draft. Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, we can talk about those guys also. And we were mentioning the Eagles, Saquon Barkley gone, leaving DeAndre Swift and Rashard Penny. I mean, geez. But they pick up CJ Azuma, Mekhi Becton, not really that good. He didn't work out with the Jets so much. But losing Hassan Reddick is a big deal. But they signed Devontae Smith to keep an AJ Leonard. AJ Brown, Shaq Leonard and Kevin Byard are also moving on. So it's been quite a mix and match for them. But they drafted those 2 rookies at cornerback, which was what hurt them last year more than anything.
Oh, yeah, they did. Who'd they take? Rakestraw and Cooper DeJean?
And this kid's Cedar. Cedar something or other. I got to see if I can pull this up. Phillies draft picks real quick. I'm terrible with the names. I'm just terrible with the names.
Well, AJ Brown could go off. He could go off.
Not only that, but I think that it's what's that?
AJ Brown could go off. He could.
God, he's
incredible. Incredible season.
He's awesome. I was telling people that when he was with the Titans and they weren't listening to me. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. This guy is great because I watched him tear our team apart. It was a Thursday night football game. And they ripped us apart. I mean, he ripped us apart. I mean, he just caught everything left, right, all over. By the way, their cornerbacks are Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. So that's with the 22nd and 40th pick. So they and Cooper DeJean.
Oh, I'm sorry. In Detroit, my bad. I was thinking Detroit with Rakestraw.
And they got did Terrion Arnold go to Detroit also?
Terrion Arnold and Rakestraw. That was the 2 guys. So that's what big
needs too. Yeah, we're going to talk
about that. And then, like you said before, the Eagles are who ended up with Fangio. Now, are they going to move to a 3-4?
Right. It's very possible. I mean, they're going to listen to him.
Because I feel like
he's not a good head coach. He ain't a good head coach, but he's a good defensive coach. So we know that.
They didn't have a great coach. They didn't have good coaching last year, which was their problem. It was a huge problem.
So I like what the Eagles have done. I am back. When the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I had them losing against the Bills. That's another story. But last year, I'm like, I'm not as high on them. But they started out really hot. They won their first 8-9 games or whatever it was. This year,
they faced us and we broke them. Do you remember?
Say what now?
We broke them. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, we destroyed them. That's yeah. We really set them on a bad path. That happens to be true. That you're right about that. They lost a bunch of games after that. But I'm back on really this year. I think the Eagles are a solid team this year, and I think that they're going to be maybe a top 1 or 2 seed.
Well, did the Eagles finish ahead of Dallas last year, or was it the other way around?
Dallas ended up winning the division.
Okay, well, I don't know if you know this or if you've heard of this. I could be wrong. I heard this recently. Apparently, in that division, if if like the Dallas one, if Dallas if Dallas finished first, that means they won't finish first this year. Have you ever heard this before?
Oh yeah,
This
because
is like
that's
historically.
yeah, and like something like what 19, 20 years, something like that.
I think so.
Yeah, something crazy. Yep. So
So if
they
you
won't.
want to know who's going to win, there you go.
Not
It's like
Dallas. Yeah,
Groundhog
don't
Day.
bet Dallas.
I mean,
You
we'll
got-
see, but I can see that not happening this year, though. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out because
yeah, and
the trend is what it is, right?
it's the NFL, man. It's the NFL.
Yeah.
A team I
Anything
don't
goes.
see going anywhere is the Commanders. They continue to keep getting it wrong unless Jaden Daniels is that dude. And I'm hoping that he is. That would be great for that franchise to come back and join the league again. It's like, hey, I'm here. I can actually do something, even though they're all formerly known as the Redskins. But Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz joins the team. Again, they got their rookie quarterback, Mariota's to back him up. Bobby Wagner comes along to join the defense with Dante Fowler and our guy, Cleveland Farrell, who we had last year, who filled in pretty nicely.
Edge setter.
Yeah, yeah. And Sam Howell is gone, but, you know, they're putting all their chips into Jaden Daniels. You know, they're going all in on him. So I like what the Commanders are doing. You know, they gained a lot and did not lose too much. So I'm liking where they're headed.
I also like them. A lot of new faces over there. Same like players and coaches. A lot of new faces. So they drafted a very good quarterback, in my opinion. I think that Jaden is going to be better than Caleb.
Okay.
Another take I have that isn't like most people. Howell being gone is a blessing, not a curse. I do not like Howell. I don't think he's going to do anything in Seattle either. Did they lose Brissett? Yeah, they lost Brissett. That's where Jacoby Brissett was.
Jacoby went back to New England.
I think Jaden is surprisingly good in the pocket, and he could be mobile.
Yeah, well, some debated he should be number one, you know. So, I mean, there you go.
I really like him, especially since Caleb didn't – I don't think Caleb played as well this year as obviously the year he won the Heisman. So, obviously, that I wasn't the only one who felt that way. But with Kingsbury coming in with a young mobile quarterback, he got Kyler had his Rookie of the Year campaign over there. So I'm sure that can happen again very easily, and that's who I'm going for Rookie of the Year. Is Jaden Daniels actually instead of Caleb.
Right.
That's me. And what else is going on? Del Rio has been the DC forever.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new over there. Their defense, even though it's not great, Del Rio is a very good coach.
Right.
So
But or not, Terry McLaurin is still around. He's a baller. They did.
Terry is incredible. He would be even better if he ever had a quarterback.
Yeah, and maybe Jaden Daniels is that guy. And you were comparing him to Caleb Williams just now, and we're going to talk about the Bears at this moment. Yeah. The Caleb Williams era does begin. Let's see what's going to happen. He's a different kind of guy, different kind of cat. Let's see how he rolls. He's got Keenan Allen now to go alongside with DJ Moore. That's a beautiful combination. I know Keenan Allen gets a little bit longer than the tooth, but DJ Moore is a solid number one. They bring in DeAndre Swift. They bring in Gerald Everett to join the offense. Deontay Foreman, Darnell Mooney, and St. Brown are all moving on. Yannick Ngakoue is added there also. I'm just trying to do this as much as I can off the top of my head, but I don't need to name everybody. But for the most part, they brought in some pretty good players. And, DeAndre Swift even, who I thought may have been a little bit better than what he is, because he didn't impress me in Philadelphia last year. But if he can get it going with Chicago a little bit, it'll make Caleb Williams' job a bit easier.
Well, they have a potentially explosive offense. That's for darn sure.
Potentially.
A third easiest schedule from what I was reading. They had a very good draft. I don't love the 9th pick being a wide receiver.
Yeah, okay.
But Rome Odunze, Mel Kiper, for example, had him in front of Marvin Harrison in his draft, in his very first draft. Now, I don't know if that was his last draft or his first draft, but I know that he saw that talent and thought that. He's the guy who saw Mahomes, right? Isn't he the guy who spotted Mahomes?
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Mel Kiper's been around, didn't just spot just Mahomes. He's very good at what he does. So the expectations are, there's a lot of pressure on what they're expected to do, which is, something that can weigh on a young team with no experience. These guys got to gel. They're all very good, but they have to be very good together.
Yeah.
So, the coaches have a lot to do there. but they're straight up stacked-ish, is what I would say. They're stacked-ish.
Mhm.
I like it. The only problem I don't like is Caleb, and here I'll tell you why, is because he's a USC quarterback who's going to the Bears. And together, that scares me. But, we never had a great quarterback from Ohio State, and now I think that we've had two pretty good ones in a row in Fields and CJ Stroud. So, these things change.
Well, let's see. It could. For the Bears, I feel bad for them. I hope so. They only have their only Super Bowl win is in 1985, and that
I
just
saw it.
Yeah, I was 5 years old for that. Yeah,
I think I was like 7 or 8. I was just a little older. I was squatting in front of the TV watching. I actually liked when I was little. I liked the Patriots uniforms better.
Oh, jeez.
And I knew Flutie, even though I didn't know anything about football. I knew Doug Flutie. I didn't know anybody on the Bears for some reason, but I knew Doug Flutie, and I just rooted for New England, and they lost, and it was my first heartbreak. And I was like, I love this.
Oh man, I couldn't stand those jerseys, man. They made me sick. I hated
the little Patriot guy.
Yeah, with the hiking the
white,
ball.
bright red, and
So
baby
weird.
blue, just like silly looking.
Just
like,
weird looking. The Lions uniform has evolved a little bit, and so is the team. Look at them back in the NFC Championship after 30-something years or 40 years or whatever.
They're the best team in the world now, if you ask their fans.
Yeah, I know. Really, I mean, I have a Lions fan friend, and he's loving it. You should be. I mean, they should honestly, bro. All honestly, they should have beat us last year. If they would have kept running the ball to the outside zone, they were killing us. They probably should have won the game. They blew it, but we played great at the end also. So give us credit and take away from them. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the top players in the league. They keep him along with Penei Sewell, one of the top offensive linemen in the league.
Great draft.
Yeah, they had another good draft, which you could talk about in a second. They got Carlton Davis to join the team. He's a vet. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is gone. But and Teddy Bridgewater actually retired after all these years, believe it or not, now that I'm thinking about it. And he was a pretty decent backup quarterback for a while. So while they didn't do a whole lot, like you said, they had a decent draft or even a really good draft. That is what I think you're saying right now.
I think they've had better drafts, but this was a good draft.
Yeah, and you know what? They love their coach. They play hard for him. They got the NFC Championship last year, so close to going to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to be in the NFC Championship again, but they will be in the playoffs again, and they will likely end up winning this division, in my opinion. I know a lot of high as hell on the Packers right now. We'll talk about the Packers, but people are falling in love with Jordan at the moment. And
he's the greatest quarterback in the world. You didn't know?
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Like, why are they falling in love? So I know that he had a solid end to his last season, 16 touchdowns, 1 pick. He looked great. But people are saying he's the second best quarterback in the league. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
Well, let's save the Jordan Love criticism for when we get to the.
We'll get there. Take us home with the Lions. What are your thoughts? Because I think that they are division winners again. I think they're better than Green Bay, Chicago, and Minnesota, who we'll talk about.
The culture there is so cool right now. When they decided to start hiring ex-players as coaches and as a staff and stuff, I think it really, again, we talked about this earlier, the locker room. It's a big deal. That energy in there, that camaraderie, they have to be having fun. It can't just be work because you have a job, right? And I'm sure you don't hate it, but you don't want to be there every single day. There are locker rooms where you want to be there every single day, and that is very helpful. And Dan Campbell has created a culture there that has been very cool. They've had some incredible drafts, like the last 4 or even 5 years when this new dude showed up. I don't know if it was the GM or whatever. Somebody showed up new, and that's when all these drafts started. They killed it. Terrion Arnold and Rakestraw, like we said before.
Yeah.
2 cornerbacks. It's nice when you see a team address their needs.
Oh, yeah.
For this year, not for next year or 2 years from now, right?
Right.
Good defense, young explosive backs. Jahmyr Gibbs is like a stud. He has incredible.
He's a stud. Absolutely.
Dude is a beast. The coaching staff, like I said, I love them. I think they're gonna have an incredible season. That's probably who I fear the most, but they'll never hear it from me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're up there as far as teams that I'm afraid of. And we're going to talk about that after we get to our Niners. That's an interesting topic of who is the teams to fear right there. You've already heard me talk about Philadelphia. I think they're a team to fear big time this year. And
you should. Absolutely right.
Yeah, I think so. Well, and people are fearing the Packers right now. Again, this Jordan Love stuff is out of control. okay, let's see it again. He's got weapons like,
Right.
the Christian Watson and the Jalen Reed. Also, Josh Jacobs coming in this year because they lose Aaron Jones to the Vikings. It was in-house, so that's kind of weird. But Josh Jacobs, who led the league in rushing a couple of years ago, safety Xavier McKinney's coming in. He got a 4-year, $68 million contract. But really, everything is really surrounding Jordan Love. So are you buying the hype on this guy? Because you know what? I'm not yet, even though I really like what I saw. I am so far from crowning this guy anywhere near a top 5 quarterback. It's ridiculous.
I'm far from it. I'm not saying I don't like Jordan Love, and I'm not saying he isn't a good quarterback.
Right. You're
What
not knocking him. You're just saying
the second half of last year was like the opponents were a little soft in the second half.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two was the end of the season. They were going. They were like when you played the Vikings twice in those last 5 games, those guys are out of it. That's not even a real game. You might as well have brought in the best high school team in the state that year to play. It would have been the same thing. The Vikings were completely out of it. They lost all hope early in the season, if you ask me. But also he was trained by Aaron Rodgers, and that's who they wanted when they got Jordan Love. He turned into Brett Favre 2.0 in the big game and threw that interception. Okay, and I know that the Packers fans, they remember that feeling very well with Favre. All right, there's been someone in between, but if you're old enough, you remember. Right. They added a nice running back, like you said. Josh Jacobs is top 5 easily, maybe top 3 running back.
Possibly.
On his best day.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, I was just saying he could ball, man. Josh Jacobs. I mean, losing Aaron Jones hurts because he's so dynamic, but if you want a tough runner, north, south, and I know they got A.J. Dillon still, but, that's the guy to go with.
And they also drafted Marshawn Lloyd in the 3rd round.
Okay, there you go. Is
he
more of a speedster?
Probably will be RB2.
Yeah, because he's more of a speedster kind of guy, right? He's not All right, so we'll see. So,
USC backs are pretty good. If there are some good positions from a school, USC has produced some pretty nice running backs. I can remember O.J. Simpson is one of them.
They sure have.
Reggie Bush, right?
Yeah, Bronny James.
Bronny James, USC. Basically, if you're the kid of a rich person, you just go through USC and then where you're going to be. No, that's cool. What's funny about USC and UCLA? They have a big rivalry, but there used to be a joke, and I heard this joke actually from, I hate to bring up O.J. Simpson. I'm so sorry. But O.J. Simpson had a joke about his own team. He's like, if you ask someone from USC, they don't even know how to spell USC. So he's trying to make a joke about how stupid you have to be to go to USC. But no, I'm not saying that about everybody. I just wanted to bring that up.
That's
but
funny.
Wait, the OL, they took an offensive lineman with their first pick, Jordan Mason, I think it was. That's nice. So they plan on protecting their quarterback. And they also have Watson and Dobbs, Christian Watson from North Dakota State.
Yeah, I think Jalen Reed could be maybe their number 1 guy. He shined last year. So they got players, man. And they went the tight end route. They got Kraft and I forgot the other kid's name off the top of my head, but they got players, man.
They do have players. They also got Edrin Cooper, linebacker, in the 2nd round.
There you go.
Who, listen, the linebackers, they weren't being taken in this draft. They really fell, those linebackers. So just because it was the 2nd round, this guy is a stud, Edrin Cooper.
Yeah, it wasn't a big linebacker draft. You're right about that.
Gonna be nice. And they took another one in the 3rd round, Tyron Hopper. I think his name, Tyron Hopper. It's going to be an improved defense. And with the running back coming in, if Jordan Love can be better than he was last year, they're going to be a problem. I still think Detroit wins this division then. But I could see 10 wins coming from Green Bay.
Oh, they could. Listen, they can. There's no doubt about it. But, the division, I think, is a little bit tougher when we talk about how good that Detroit is right now. And then, maybe Minnesota's on the come up. We'll see about them. In Chicago,
they could be a thorn.
They could be. And we'll see. The Vikings, I'm not going to expect too much out of them. Yes, they upgraded with Aaron Jones. Is definitely better than Alexander Madison any day of the week and twice on Sunday, which is when they play football usually. Kirk Cousins, he's out, goes to Atlanta. They're bringing Sam Darnold, so either he'll start or back up J.J. McCarthy. In my opinion, he'll probably start out the season. I'll get yours in a second. We'll see. But bringing in Andrew Van Ginkel, we mentioned that before. He's coming to Minnesota from Miami. Marcus Davenport and Daniel Hunter are both out of there. And
that's not that's like losing Bosa, right?
it's losing a guy like Hunter is a big deal, and Davenport's nothing to sneeze at either. So, that's kind of tough. They both leave that defense along with, like we said, Madison and Osborne both out of there. So, their offense, I don't know how much, Justin Jefferson can help the entire offense and do everything because the Vikings right now, their quarterback situation is a major question mark. If it's Sam Darnold starting, then you're worried about J.J. McCarthy. Is his growth there? Can he learn? Or do you want to throw the rookie out and have him take his lumps right away? It's a weird situation, but I don't like where Minnesota's at right this second until I see what J.J. McCarthy can or cannot do.
Yeah, likely, sadly, is going to be last place in this division for Minnesota. It's not going to be fun after having Kirk Cousins and Jay Jettas for so long, and they were a good team. You remember? I think they won like 12 games in a row or something like that one year. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
it was like not last year, but the year before that, or maybe it was last year. I can't remember. No, it wasn't last year because Kirk Cousins got the year before. They were fine. Yeah, or maybe a couple of but it wasn't the year before last. But they were a very good team. They had their shit down. They had defense. They had the offense, and they were a problem. As you know, we can't ever beat them at home. It's been like 20 years.
Yeah.
So we have our problems with them. They can't be any worse, I don't think, than they were last year. So that's a positive thing. Jettas and Addison, they're good, but you got to get it to them. Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold. We know everything we need to know about Sam Darnold.
That's right.
He's going to be Jimmy G, but worse.
Oh, geez.
You have to take it can work for a few plays in a row until it's not going to work anymore. And then it's just like you're down 10 points and Sam Darnold is your quarterback. Just like when we were with Jimmy, we knew it was going to be really hard to score these 10 points now, you know?
Yeah.
So that's pretty brutal. The O-line is decent. I mean, they added some people in free agency. They drafted Dallas Turner. So, that's good.
Yeah.
Like I said, they can't be any worse, but I just worry about Jay Jettas going there and signing that big contract. I think it was a huge mistake. His numbers are going to fall. I don't care what anybody says because I've talked to the Vikings fans and they're like, it's Jay Jettas. He doesn't care. How are you going to have 1,500 yards with Jay Jettas unless it's in garbage time? Just don't.
Good point.
It's going to be garbage time, but he doesn't. He obviously would rather have money than to win a Super Bowl. I mean, this is obvious, right?
Some people are like that, man. What can I tell you?
And I don't blame them because you have to. If you're a football player, I think you have to go with football isn't everything. This is my job. Just my job for some people. They don't love football. Like I heard somebody say this recently, like Brock and CMC, like those guys, they love football. Other people just play football for the paycheck.
It's a job to them.
Yeah,
it's a job. Yep. Not everybody loves it. Some of them rather be playing a different sport, basketball. Maybe they'd rather be a singer. Who the hell knows what it is. But this is what the talents brought them to, so that's what they use it for. And God
I don't know
bless
if you remember, they also drafted Kyrie Jackson from Oregon, right? A cornerback. He's good. They got free agency. They got Shaq Griffin. I don't know if you said that. And Cam Bynum also they added. Maybe Kyrie Jackson was in Alabama. I'm sorry, and he was a lineman. I could be mistaken. For some reason, I think I confused him with a cornerback. But the draft was so long ago, and I had to remember it's the details about 200 to 300 guys, and now it's slowly falling out of my ear.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to do that on top of your head.
But they can't be any worse. They'll probably finish last. I hope the best for them. Aaron Jones, that's very nice, But it's going to be what it is. And from what I understand, like J.J. McCarthy, this is what Greg Cosell said. He's going to need a lot of work. A lot of work. That's just from what I heard right after the draft. How he's doing today, I'm not 100% sure.
In college, he was not asked to carry the team. They were a running team and a defensive team, so that was not his job. But he did well enough. He was coached well enough. But now he's on a different team, and he does have a good offensive coach in Kevin O'Connell. So we'll see what they could do with them. Now, Kirk Cousins was their quarterback last year. He has moved on to Atlanta. They also drafted Michael Penix Jr. I can't explain that one, so I'm not going to try. Darnell Mooney and Rondell Moore both joined the wide receiving core over there for the Atlanta Falcons because they lose a few key pieces. They lost Calais Campbell. They lost Bud Dupree. Cordero Patterson has been, now a long time Falcon. He's gone. John Smith is gone. Trey Flowers is gone. Jeffrey Okudah is gone. A lot of players left, and people are pegging Atlanta to be one of those teams that force to be reckoned with this year. Look, I'm not so sure. I like Bijan Robinson. I'm not so big on Drake London. I'm not so big on Kyle Pitts either. But maybe Kirk Cousins gets the best out of them. But then again, look, this guy has been to like one freaking playoff game. And why is so much stock thrown into Kirk Cousins as he's going to be the savior? Look, nobody has done a better job than him making money in this league by doing less than what is required of him. It's
That's for
unbelievable.
sure. Yeah.
So I don't know how. Look, Atlanta, they might win this division. That's all well and good. But what the hell is that going to do? They'll probably end up being 8-9 if they do win it and bounce in the first round, hosting a game. So
Of course,
I am
yeah.
happy with Atlanta.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I see the potential there. Like I see what they tried to do, but then they lost me when they took Penix.
Why? Why do that?
Why
Makes
would
no
you?
sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. You know what? That's like, look, and I'm going to say it. We took Trey Lance when we had Jimmy Garoppolo. We could have had Micah Parsons in that draft. And I know people don't like Micah Parsons. I know that. But we had Micah Parsons. We would have had at least one Super Bowl.
Love that guy on our team.
Yeah. Imagine him and Bosa. They both won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine back-to-back Offensive Rookies of the Year on the 49ers on the bookends? That's disgusting. On their contracts before Bosa even got paid. Can you imagine having those two guys like that? We didn't need Trey Lance. We could have rolled with Josh Rosen at quarterback with a defense like that. It's just nuts. So that's one thing about that. But yeah, so the Penix thing lost me. I wasn't happy about that. Brady Jarrett is good.
Yeah, he's a good player.
If he's healthy. Running won't be a problem, I don't think. Bijan showed to be a decent running back, but you know what? People are going to know when he's running the ball. I think it's going to be like,
yeah.
Kirk Cousins, who are you going to throw the ball to? Drake London,
That's-
like you said, I'm not feeling it. And Kyle Pitts has been there for what, 5 years now? What does he have? 5, 6 touchdowns? Maybe 8 touchdowns?
Seriously,
Like 4
major
years?
disappointment. Major disappointment. I'm surprised he still has his job, to be honest with you.
I
because
felt bad for that kid. That kid needs to be on our team. We use our tight ends. Like, he would
Yes.
thrive here. We could have made a move for him. We should have made a lot of moves this offseason, if you ask me. But I know that they got their own plans for years ahead. Like, they're thinking years ahead. They don't even think about this year. If you
Well,
ask.
and that's also, by their head coach, Raheem Morris, now coming in, some
Niner
brand
style.
coach.
Yeah, they're going to have a Niner style offense over there. So
Yeah, we'll see how they do. But yeah,
good offensive line.
the chips are in on Atlanta. Am I sold on them winning? I don't know. Maybe there's a couple other teams out there. The Panthers probably aren't one of them, but they do get Rashad Penny to help them out. They get Deontay Johnson, a wide receiver from the Steelers, to come over. Sophomore quarterback Bryce Young. Let's see. Hopefully he can do better than what we saw last year. Again, it's not all on him. Like we said earlier in this show, it is about where you land. And he landed in a spot where you don't want to land, where there's a lot of shit and mud and gross stuff. You don't want to be in it. That's where he went. And they lose players like, DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault Jr. He's out of there. Hayden Hurst is out of there. So they got players. And Brian Burns defense.
And that was always their one thing, was Carolina had a nice defense.
Yeah, well, they also lost Yatir Gross-Matos, and we are the favor of that. The 49ers.
The beneficiaries we are.
Yeah, we're the beneficiary of that, right? And Shaq Griffin goes to Minnesota. So what the hell did they do this year? I don't know. I think Carolina somehow got worse. Is that even possible?
Sadly, it's very possible.
Jeez.
A quarterback in his sophomore year now who didn't have a good first year, short quarterback, not big arms. He doesn't have a big arm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not that. He's not that guy. Like, he really needed to go somewhere. Like, God, where would he have gone? That would have
more
been
of a system type place. Like maybe
Miami should have
taken in Miami, San Francisco. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That would have been nice, and he could have sat for a year, maybe 2, and I think it would have been better for him. And I think teams are starting to see this now, because you're older like I am, and you remember, like, backup QBs would literally be drafted and then sit for like a minimum a year, sometimes 2 to 3. But then they came out and they were respectable talents. Like, they had learned everything. There's no developmental league in football. People think it's college. It's not. When you're in college, you're pledging fraternities. You're scoring with chicks. You're drinking. You're drinking and driving. You're smoking pot. I mean, give me a break. It's college, right? Even if you practice football AM and PM, you're still going to be you're still going to be a college kid. You're just a kid. So, that is no place to develop the mind and the talents of a child. You need a developmental league in football, or you have to have kids come in here and sit. Or, like our practice squads should be just as many people as are on our real teams. I believe that. And those guys shouldn't be able to be stolen from anyone else. Every team should have this luxury, I think. But, and there's so much money to be made in this minor league football teams. How incredibly fun would this be? It's a big thing. And I don't see why we don't do this, but whatever.
Maybe they're using the USFL or whatever they call it now.
Yeah, or the XFL or the. I mean, that's all BS though. You need to control it like football has a minor league system. You know how fun that is.
They're all over the place with that. Yeah, XFL.
But also, let's not forget they did sign Clowney, who had a great year last year, and I don't think anybody thought he was going to have a great year last year. They also have J.C. Horn at cornerback. So.
Good point. Good point. Not so bad. I know a couple of them have moved on from a couple of teams here and there, but there's a reason why they're still in the league. So there you go.
Yeah. And some people like where they live and they like their paycheck, so they just sit tight in the teams. They don't care about Super Bowl and stuff, and that's fun.
People are content, man. That's the way that it is. Some people are just content with the way that things are. And apparently the Saints are actually, now that I think about it, because they did not do much. I mean, they signed, Equanimeous St. Brown, Amon-Ra's brother.
Yeah.
And Chase Young goes over to the Saints, which is a really nice move. But
it could work for them.
Yeah, no more Andrews Preet, no more Marcus Mann. How about this one? Michael Thomas. This guy went from being the best wide receiver in the league like 4 or 5 years ago to what has happened to you over that period of time. He broke the record, and then he just fell off. Mike Thomas, what the hell? So
is he still there? I thought he left and went somewhere.
No, he's gone. He's out.
Yeah. Okay.
He hasn't even been signed yet.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I bet you he's weighing options right now. I'm sure there are multiple teams who have, their offers in. That's what I think.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I bet their offers are really low. You want to come in here for 1 year.
And he's waiting as long as he can to see if somebody gets hurt or something and they have to sign him,
Maybe that would even be better.
That's probably what I would tell him as his agent,
Seriously, yeah. That might be better.
Offensive coordinator
in the first couple of weeks.
Another Niner.
Yeah. It'll happen in the first couple of weeks, so why not? Yep, that could drive up the price. That's a good point. That's a good point.
So they got Clint Kubiak as their new offensive coordinator, and so again, we're all over the place. The Niners, the tree has many, many branches.
Oh yes.
They have a completely new left side of the offensive line, from what I understand. They took Fuaga in the draft, which is nice.
Yeah.
He's a very good run blocker. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the Saints and what's really the problem. Derek Carr. This guy has in the top 3 turnovers for the last 4 or 5 years, maybe more.
Yeah.
And the other people on that list are like young quarterbacks. He is not a young quarterback.
Interesting. That's a good point. Yeah, he's been around for a long time and not much to show for it. So that's pretty well said right there. Makes a lot of sense. Makes sense.
The fans like him. And again, I go in and out of a lot of chats. I talk to a lot of different teams, not creators, but fans and chats and stuff.
Yeah.
They love him. They love him, Jason. They think he's going to have a really, really good year. That's what. Right. I assume a lot of that is hope. But
yeah, I know. Seriously, fans could be blind. The blind love is there. Yeah, no doubt. Let's close out the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Bucks, who, Baker Mayfield, they're going to keep rolling with him, and they bring in Sterling Shepard from the Giants to try to help him out. Randy Gregory, formerly of the 49ers, actually, he's going to join the team as well. Mayfield gets an extension, but they do lose a couple of key players here in Shaq Barrett and Devin White. So those are a couple of players that they would like to have, but they're losing. Tampa Bay is a team that maybe could win this division, maybe get in the playoffs, but they're certainly not scaring any of the big boys up there like the San Franciscos and the Detroits and Philadelphia. They're not scaring anybody, Tampa Bay, right now. So their outlook on the season, to me, at best, they're an 8-19.
Yeah, that'd be good for them, and they could win this division with that record too.
Quite possibly.
This division is like these guys kind of like beat up on each other. The South, they beat up on each other. None of them is really great. Anyone can win or lose the game, So it's kind of like a fun division like that. I actually am thinking, just because of the moves they made, I'm gonna pick. And I know we talked about they're not a very solid team. I'm still gonna pick the Falcons to win this division. I think.
Yeah.
I think Baker is sort of like this. Again, we spoke about him too. He's a fine quarterback. He can survive and be paid and be on a team, a starting quarterback in the NFL. I'll give him that. But he is like a serviceable dude, sort of like Jimmy is, right? So you're not going to win because of Baker. you got to bring him along with the rest of the team. I don't know that the team is as good as it used to be. I don't think that the Bucks are as good as they used to be. I think they have a decent defense. They always have a pretty decent defense. Their wide receivers are like veteran wide receivers who are always there, right? It's always the same guys, wide receiver in Tampa.
Yep.
Who is their tight end? I know that didn't they draft Devin Culp?
They got this kid, Cade Otton.
Ah.
Yeah. Cade Otton. Yeah, not as well known, but yeah, I think he caught maybe 2 passes last year.
Another Kyle style offense, if you ask me.
Yeah, the branches are all over the place, man. They really are.
I didn't love their draft at all, except that they took Devin Culp, a possible relative of mine,
nice.
Tight end, which I'd love to see him get in there and play some games. I'd love to get the jersey.
I love it.
Defense is always decent. They're a boring team.
Yeah, they are boring. No, yeah, look, I don't like watching Tampa Bay games. I don't know how many primetime games they got this year, but I hope it's not many. Maybe one.
Hopefully there's not too many Tampa Bay primetime games, right?
Exactly right. That's what we're talking about. Jeez. Well, we're not going to see the Cardinals in primetime. No, not Arizona, who brings in Desmond Ridder and Zay Jones. Whoopee! All right, way to go. And they lose Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown, of course, going to the Kansas City Chiefs, where he's
of course, because he wants a ring, right?
Yeah. He's going to thrive. He's going to do great there. And Rondale Moore, he went to the Falcons, so another weapon for Kirk Cousins over there to work out with. But I mean, again, this team did nothing. I know Kyler Murray's going to come back and he's going to be fully healthy, but okay, so what? Where are you scoring? You're going to hand the ball to James Conner 45 times a game?
Yeah, you can only do that against us.
Yeah, I know, really. Jesus Christ. Oh, God, I get sick of seeing that, but. Yeah, I mean, that kid can play, but otherwise, where are the points and how are they going to stop anybody? I don't see it, Kenny. I think the Cardinals potentially could be one of the worst teams in the NFL again this year.
Yeah, they had so many picks, in the top 100. I just don't think that they're going to pan out. I mean, you know how hard it is even in the top 100, I think the success is like 22% or something to like succeed. It's crazy. It's just so hard to hit on guys. You never know what anybody's going to do. Injuries are this horrible factor of this random thing that you just can't control. Sometimes these guys never play. We've had a couple of these guys that we drafted and just never did anything and sat there forever. And then you guys have guys like Amon-Ra, who I don't know if you remember that in his draft, he was sitting there all day on TV. And he was like one of the last people to go. And he was waiting and look at him.
Yep, turns out to be the best guy in the draft class, probably.
Yeah, so that's why I like the Niners do that, because they get a lot of picks. Usually, they have had a lot of picks, and it's just like a roulette wheel. You just never know. It's like the more tickets, the more scratchers, the better chance. So, like, that's how I see the draft. You can't guarantee squat. You can have 2 picks in the top 5, pick an offensive lineman and a quarterback. They could both fail very easily. It's just crazy.
Of course.
But for the Cardinals, I don't think Kyler's great, but I think he's very good. I think he's a guy that by himself can win like 6 or 7 games. Losing Hollywood Brown is a huge problem.
That's a big deal.
Getting Marvin Harrison Jr. is okay, but I don't know if you've heard this stuff about Marvin Harrison Jr. He's like still discussing his licensing agreements and stuff. It gives me a bad sign about this dude, about like the details of his contract, and like he's very meticulous about like now his like licensing agreement. So he's not going to be in the new Madden until he signs his stuff. He can't have jerseys. He can't earn any money from jersey sales and things like that. He can't do anything. That just makes me like, everyone else has done this. Why aren't you done? Like, that gives me a little pause. And going to the Cardinals, he can't be pumped about this. Like, I don't know how happy Marvin Harrison Jr. is, besides that he got a signing bonus. Like, I don't know how much happier you can be about that but as far as the draft goes, they did get Trey Benson, who's an interesting running back. They got Max Melton, Jersey boy, cornerback. Cedar Creek High School, let's go. So they're just terrible against the NFC West. And I mean, if you're going to lose 6 games right off the bat in your own division, where are you going to go?
Yeah, where are you going? Right.
Give up a ton of points. And again, Kyler might be a great Modern Warfare or Call of Duty leader, but on the field, I don't know that he's that general. I don't think he commands any type of respect like that in any locker room, being as tall as me.
Right. Well said, my friend. Well said.
But I do love the Max Melton pick. because I do like anybody from Jersey coming out there. We got
Hey.
Jair Brown, who you know is from Jersey.
There
I
you
love
go.
Jair Brown. Gets a lot of support. From
Northeast, baby, Northeast, all the way, all the way. Well, location, Jimmy G has seen quite a few of them from the Northeast to the Southwest. He's all over the place, and he is with the Rams now. He will back up Matthew Stafford. For Rams fans, God willing, Matthew Stafford stays healthy for you guys. For 49ers fans, we don't want anybody to get hurt, but if he wants to take a break toward the end of the season, we will get
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if he needed to take like a little ayahuasca break.
Yeah,
Like
take a break.
Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers.
sure. Yeah, do a
Little
little
camping
Rodgers
trip.
thing. They also picked up Tre'Davious White. We talked about him leaving the Bills before, so that's really nice right there. They needed something ever since Jalen Ramsey left. They've been lacking a leader in the backfield, in the secondary, excuse me, right there. So why not? And
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Donald retiring. I mean, huge blow. Talking about the best player on defense in the entire NFL. It's just like, you know what? I'm done. It's like it's like Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders type of thing.
It's like
leave-
losing Vince Wilfork. Vince
Yeah.
isn't coming back this year. Oh shit!
just leave it at that hype. like
Right
that.
up the middle all day on us.
And so right now, I question Cooper Kupp's health. You know, he hasn't looked like himself in the past couple of years, so I don't know how healthy he's going to be. And
Puka's pushing him out of there too. It doesn't help when you're struggling and you're an older guy and your job is being like threatened. Even if it's not being threatened, there's still like this competition factor. And he's like, this kid, his rookie year was Jerry Rice, and Jerry Rice wasn't Jerry Rice in his rookie year. That was pretty damn impressive. Wow. So Puka, I mean, I'd be scared if I was Kupp. I'd expect Kupp going somewhere really bad next, like to a bad team, just for a contract.
It's possible.
Calling it quits, buying a house, retiring. Not retiring, but retiring on the team. You know what I mean?
Right. Unless it's a mutual agreement, like, all right, I can't give you what I once could, so let's try to get me the hell out.
Trade me. I'll get you some good stuff, right? Something like that. Send them to the Panthers.
That was for real. But, you know, I think the Rams are a better team than what people think, and especially Matthew Stafford being healthy. You know, that guy can still sling it. You know, he'll throw his fair share of interceptions, but, you know, he'll throw his fair share of touchdowns too. So you take the good with the take the bad. That's how it goes. Seattle, right before we get to our 49ers over here, they bring in Sam Howell and P.J. Walker in the case when Geno Smith screws up. One of those guys is coming in. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe Howell. Give the young kid a shot. But Devin Bush, Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams, you know, a couple of older names, and Quandre Diggs, all out in Seattle. They were not good last year. They're going to be worse this year. I don't know where offense is going to come from. I like some of their running backs in Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, but they can't do a whole lot when their offensive line is having problems pushing people back. I don't like the way things look for Seattle, and you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that because I have grown to hate the Seattle.
Seattle's had enough success for me.
Yes, I'm good.
I see winning like 4 games, dude. 4 to 7, if I'm being polite.
Wow, that's low.
That's
low.
really bad.
And no more Pete Carroll either.
No, new coach. It's gonna be tough. I thought they could have snuck into the playoffs last year. This year, this team I just don't see it happening. I feel really bad. I feel bad because I know, you know, being a Niner fan, you probably know a lot of Seattle Seahawks fans because they usually come in the chats or whatever the most because we're in division. They're very nice people, actually. You know, they had their success. They're cool with it. They're not like crazy fans like a lot of fans are. They're very polite when they come into chats and Niner stuff and stuff. And I feel bad for them. And I keep being optimistic for them, you know? But it's going to be a bad year. The defense coordinator, they got the new defensive coordinator of Baltimore, though, as their head coach, right? Could be the new Pete Carroll.
Mike McDonald.
Could be the new Pete Carroll. First year head coach. I have high hopes, let's say, because I think it's always fun when someone new comes in. You just never know, right? Look at what D'Amico did. D'Amico set Houston on fire. They forgot about the Astros. Like that's how much fun they're having probably on the Texans right now. And we're not going to go back to them, but the additions, the draft picks, it's just so fun. Like that's, you know, all that adds to the fuel, you know, the fuel to the fire. It's nice to have a great roster, but if you have a bunch of high-paid dicks that don't like each other on there, you're not going to play well.
No.
You know what I mean? So,
chemistry is very important, man. It really is.
Well, listen, you got to protect Geno Smith then. Sam Howell and P.J. Walker, I know those guys, but I don't want them being my starting quarterback. I'm saying 5-12 probably.
Yeah, that looks somewhere around that area, 5-12. Yeah, I like that. I like that 5, maybe
Well, what I
6.
don't like is that the Cardinals and the Seahawks will be getting some nice picks, though. I don't like that.
That's true. That's true. They could find their quarterbacks of the future, which may not be such a great thing for us. You
Hey,
got to go
look,
check that
Shador is
one.
going to be somewhere to go next year, right?
Yeah, that's
And I hope it's not with Marvin Harrison and Deion Sanders, because I'll tell you what, it won't take
Ooh.
long before those guys turn that organization around.
Yeah, man, you got that right. Jeez. Oh, boy. Well, all right. Hey, look, the moment we've all been waiting for, the San
Yeah.
Francisco 49ers. We saved the best for last. We are both diehard 49er fans. We have been all our lives, right?
Every
New
single
York
every
loves.
day that I loved football has been a Niner fan.
It's been Niners, and that's what it's all about. The Niners lose. I don't care what happens the rest of the football weekend. It means absolutely nothing to me. It's all about the 49ers. And gosh, man, we have been so close for these past, 4 or 5 seasons where we've gone to NFC championships, 2 Super Bowls, losing both of them to Kansas City, and both in the fashion and way they were both lost. I mean, God, I don't want to relive it, so I'm not going to talk about it, but
Yeah.
it hurts so much. And it's like, come on, it's time. We haven't won one since '94, and it was great. And Steve Young, freaking beautiful. Everything about that game is great. We destroyed the Chargers. I loved it, but
Oh God, it was
craving
a great
another-
Super Bowl.
what
55.
a
No,
great
that
year.
was the Denver one. This was 38 to something, right? 38-10. Was that the Chargers one?
The
Because
Chargers one was,
Denver
believe
was
it or not,
55-10.
yeah,
against-
the Chargers one was 49-26, and I remember that
Oh my
because
God.
the betting spread was 18.5, and I took the
Oh, man.
49ers with a friend of mine, and
Yeah.
he couldn't believe that they actually covered.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Biggest spread, even bigger than the
You-
Jets Colts.
You don't see Super Bowl scores like that anymore, man.
No, you don't. I mean, they've all been competitive lately, and I love it. It's great. But
Well, listen, if you notice, when we stopped winning, and I don't want to knock the Niners, salary cap was introduced.
no,
94, the salary cap was introduced, and the Niners didn't have that kind of success again. Also, the MVP of the league regular season and the MVP of the Super Bowl before the salary was introduced, salary cap was introduced, they typically was the same guy. Once the
Yeah.
salary cap was introduced, the MVP of the regular season was almost never the MVP of the Super Bowl. But before that, if you ever go look at it, take a minute to go look at it, same guy. Regular season, Super Bowl. Regular season, Super Bowl. Regular season, Super Bowl. It was just this weird thing, and I don't know if it was like, done that way because they were the regular season, and if you were decent in the Super Bowl, they probably just handed it to you.
Just
But
pure laziness.
only a few guys have done that in recently, and Mahomes is one of them, obviously.
Mahomes won, no doubt, no doubt. Well, I got to tell you, look, I'm still high on the 49ers. Do I think they're the best team in the NFL right now? No,
It's
I don't.
arguably.
It's arguable. And look, they've got the pieces. Brock Purdy, whatever you want to say about him. McCaffrey got his 2-year, $38 million extension. But we lost a lot of guys in the defensive line. We talk about Chase Young, Cleveland Farrell, Eric Armstead, Randy Gregory. Javon Kinlaw didn't really do much for us, so not the worst thing. But we do bring in Leonard Floyd, and I mentioned Yatir Gross-Matos a little bit earlier to try to fill in the gaps, along with Malik Collins and Jordan Elliott to help round out the defensive line. Rocky Ya-Sin joining the team, it's not a big thing for me. Rocky Ya-Sin is on his 4th team in 5 years already, so that's kind of a
Well, I
joke.
hear he's a clear-cut 3 guy in the cornerback room, or number 2.
That's not even saying much, because that's the thing about our team. I love everything about our team, but our secondary has been covered up by the fact that we can rush 4 guys and create some pressure.
Hey, we had Ambry and Oliver out there on the same play sometimes, so that we had our problems.
Yeah, we definitely had our problems, and that is our biggest problem. There's no doubt about it. So, Travarius Ward is a good player. He can take one side of the field. That's all well and good, but we need more. And we needed Hufanga last season. I'm telling you, man.
That hurt us big time.
Yeah, he's that good of a player. So we need him back healthy and ready to go. And he's another one we're going to have to pay.
Yeah. And Dre Greenlaw, another guy. We need Huff back soon. We need Dre back immediately.
Yes.
You saw what happened to our defense when we didn't have Huff all year. We couldn't tackle. He's just one guy.
No.
We also had Armstead, with his illnesses. So they're not like injuries that he couldn't play. But dude, when you're not 100%, I don't care what you're doing. It sucks. It rings through your whole damn body. It makes you miserable. It's horrible. We had to move on from that guy.
That's
I
right.
hope he has success in Jacksonville. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, wish him the best. Go right ahead.
Good for you. I'm glad you got paid and you get to live in Jacksonville now. That's much nicer, if you ask me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Not too bad. Hey,
No, it's not too bad.
the drafting of Ricky Pearsall, does that mean the end of Debo or even Ayuk for you? What do you think?
For me, what I'll tell you is I hope not. Debo is my
Oh, of
favorite.
course you hope not, but
Yeah,
what do you think?
Debo is my favorite player. I think it's very possible that we keep. Obviously, I think we're gonna have Debo, Ayuk, Ricky, Jennings, Cowing, maybe somebody else out there, and that's it. Bell or Gray. I'm thinking one of those guys, and I'm leaning Gray actually.
All right.
I think so. That I think those guys will be just fine. Our wide receivers look good. I don't think anybody's going to leave yet, but I think Debo is probably gone next year, which breaks my heart. I think Debo's the heart, Warner's the soul of this team, and Debo's the heart. That's just for me personally. I would hate to lose either one of those guys. What I would love to see is Debo restructure, take the hit. I mean, you've been paid. Stay here. Try and win the Super Bowl. Be loved. Do your best.
Yeah.
Try not to get injured. Retire, buy your house. I love his kid and his wife. They're just they're just nice people. I don't want him to leave. But I think he's going to leave. I mean, I think they're going to let him leave.
Yeah, that's why they drafted Pearsall, because he has some of the dynamics and capabilities that
I'll
Debo,
let you say it.
Yeah, right. Nobody else is Debo. Let's be clear about that. There's only one Debo.
He has no equal, in my opinion. He has no equal.
No,
people get hurt. It is what it is. People get hurt.
Right.
We're not wood. So
he takes punishment. That man, he takes actual.
He delves it out too,
and he delves it out. Absolutely.
And look, the Detroit game was the perfect example of why I love him. We threw him a stupid little pass. He dropped some dude.
Yeah.
And everyone was like,
"Yeah,
that's what we needed."
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That energy, that little bit of energy on the sideline changes everything.
Yep, momentum.
It's like a potion or like a shot. So, and I love Debo for that. So, yeah, I think he's gone. I think Ricky is the foreshadowing of that. I just hope not. That's all I can say.
I hope not too. It'd be wonderful if we can keep all of them, because we have the guys, we have the pieces. It's just that we have to be able to put it together the last thing of the season. Hey, before we get out of here, man, you got to tell everybody, about your channel and your shorts and stuff. So let them know where to go.
Well, I'm at Kenny 49ers. My show is called 49th and Faithful. I don't usually do stuff like this because I leave that to the pros, man. You're awesome at this. And that's why I love watching you. That's why I come here all the time. You are awesome at this. You know your stuff. I'm really more like a clown. I know. I pick up a lot of shit while I'm clowning, but so it's nice. But yeah, I like to add a little something different to the show and be funny and have a little comedy, weird takes, so that people lose it and they're like, "What? What are you talking about? You got to do this."
Right.
And I'm like, "But that's what I love. I want that back and forth because or else it's just boring to me." And so I would love for you guys to watch my shorts because I really think that they're on a Scorsese, Tim Burton level, in my opinion. But I really do think that you could watch every one of my shorts and enjoy yourself. And they're not long. So I say do that if you can. Comment, share, subscribe. But what I am going to do soon is on July 13th, I'm going to be starting something new. It's a debate show, but it's also like a game show, variety show, talent hour thing. It's like a whole Saturday Night Live sort of thing. And I called it Saturday Fight Live. Because here's what's happening. I meet a lot of kids in the comment sections and chats and stuff, and they all want to mouth off. So I'm like, bring it on Saturday nights. I'll pop you on the show. We'll go back and forth. We'll have fun. But most people think I'm being aggressive or trying to challenge them, so no one ever comes. So if there's listening and you want to come out starting July 13th on Saturday nights, I'm going to be doing something different. That's what I'll say.
I think that's great.
Check it out. I think you guys will have fun.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's beautiful.
Really appreciate you having me on, dude. I really, really have fun.
Kenny, the pleasure is mine, especially with a fellow 49er fan. You've been awesome again, popping on the show. I'm like, I got to talk to this guy face to face and let the people hear what he's got to say. So I'm glad that you got to get yours out, and I'm glad that you had time to jump on, man. It's been nothing but a pleasure, bro.
Great time, man.
Really appreciate it. The Power 32 podcast will be back soon. We got plenty to talk about, plenty more guests. We're going to get into it, guys. Love you all. Thanks for hanging in there. We'll see you next time. Peace, everyone.